What's up, everybody? Welcome to PSI Love You XOXO episode 112. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, aka the future class of video games, aka the OK Beast, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Congrats, Janet Garcia, on a marathon.
Janet Garcia not here, ladies and gentlemen, not because she got bit by snakes. No, because she ran a marathon, the Los Angeles Marathon. It's a pretty big deal. I don't know if you ever heard of it, everybody. All right, that's where the elite go to meet and run. Janet ran it. She completed it, and she was in an ice bath today playing Mario Kart because she took vacation, which was very smart after the fact.
Yeah. No, it was awesome to see that on the timeline yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, well, it was awesome, except for the fact that she was like radio silent on it. You know, bless.
Yeah.
Janet has, Janet loves the social media. Let's just say it. She also hates it, probably. She loves it, though. She's on Twitter all the time communicating. She's on TikTok all the time making videos. She's out there making the content. And so the run up to the race, nonstop tweets about it. Understandably so. This is a big deal in her life. And then the day of, I was expecting a way earlier update than we got.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for it too. I was like, oh yeah, I want to make sure I'm like texting her to wish her good luck and all that stuff. And then like the next tweet I see from her, I think was her finishing up the thing. And then that's when I think I misread the tweet and thought that she was starting. So I text her. And then I get a text back and be like, oh, yeah, no, I just finished. And I was like, oh, shit. All right, cool. You did the thing. You're still alive. You're still here.
It makes sense, though, like, you're getting focused for this, like, really big thing. And we saw her final time, which was, like, 5.5 hours or something like that. Like,
yeah,
you want to be focused.
She's, like, in the zone.
You don't want to be, like, goofing around on social media leading up to a big thing like that,
You say that, but when I hosted the DICE Awards, I was on my phone backstage right before, during it, all the time. I didn't care.
I don't know, like, the DICE Awards is a marathon.
I don't know if we can compare hosting the DICE Awards to a 5.5 hour
one's physically, it was a huge physical exertion on the grandest stage of the all, and the other's just running through the streets of LA.
Yeah, you got me there.
Thank you.
I think I could host DICE. I don't think I could run a marathon.
I was gonna say, how long? Right now, you and me, how long do you whip us into shape? You and me get out there and be running.
I mean, honestly, the thing that keeps me away from is laziness. I think ability-wise, I could do it. I could like train. I could do all that stuff, but I just don't have.
Want to?
I just don't want to. Right? I don't have the desire to like get into shape.
Take you to.
You think 3 years?
Yeah.
Now is that mainly because of Greg? Because for me, I'm like, dude, give me a strong, give me a 1 year.
It's you're bringing Greg down.
Thank you.
Oh, you think so? You think Greg has the stuff to run a marathon?
Well, as we all know, I'm very fast in America. I've proven this.
Yeah, marathon's not about speed. It's about
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that like that makes me. The fact that I can outrun Andy Cortez any day of the week in America means that I could then go out and run a marathon, no problem. I'm not saying they're apples here. They're apples and oranges. But I am saying that I'm more limber than you think. If I popped off these jeans right now and I wouldn't put on my running or my Peloton tights, you'd see I'd be able to get down,
You also hike a lot,
I do hike a lot too. Yeah, my strongest muscle outside my vocal cords.
2 weeks, but Blessing brings it down to 3 years,
Yeah.
I definitely next time you come over, I was thinking about inviting you over for WrestleMania, but next time you come over, feel my quads and you'll see.
Okay. I believe you. I don't think I'm gonna feel your quads. I believe you at face value.
Just putting it out there, you know what I mean?
I will say
the record show I didn't order him to feel my quads. I offered it.
Of course.
It's not a boss peer thing. It's just a friend saying to another friend, feel my stony quads.
Come over to my house and feel my quads. Of course. But yeah, no, I don't hike. I don't hike, and I don't like outdoor activities. I don't like active activities, if I'm being real, right? And like,
who does?
That's my thing. Is like, why would you ever put yourself through activity? I understand the endorphins. I understand that like having hobbies is great, but also I can just sit at home and play video games. But like, aside from that,
a lot though, right?
I did used to dance a lot, and that's what I was going to bring up is the fact that growing up, that was my main physical activity was breakdancing and hip hop dance. And I've not done that in years, partly because like I moved to a new city and I couldn't find a dance community here. And then also a pandemic happened. And so I didn't have dance events to go to. But like that was the one thing because I enjoyed it so much that I did for physical activity. And I don't have that. And so now I'm just like, I'm just not out of shape, but I'm also not in shape, if that makes sense. Right. Like I'm not letting myself go, but also like if you asked me to walk however many miles, I'd be like, no, man, I do not have the stuff right now.
It's understandable. Yeah. It's a weird thing working out.
But also
activity.
Like, here's my thing. Cause I like the idea of me and Greg trying to run a marathon because Janet did it. And we want to do everything that Janet does. Right. And like, I think if we put our minds to it, I think we can make it happen.
Here's the thing. Of course we could. That's not the argument. It's just would we want to? No. You know what I mean? Let's be frank. Let's be frank. You and me right now could be like, you know what? We're gonna play through Days Gone again. Me for the second time, you for the first time. And like, but we tried that once. And we're like, you know what? This isn't fun. We don't want to do it. It would be the same thing with running. We could get out there, we could start training, but eventually we're gonna be like, this kind of sucks, and I'd rather play video games.
If you ask me if I'd rather run a marathon or play Days Gone, I'd probably say I'd run a marathon.
Jeez, wow, that's a bold statement right there.
I think
That's a bold statement there.
if we were doing it for content and we're doing it like, if I was doing it with you, right? Like, hey, we are going to train up for this marathon. We're going to make it happen. I think I would be on board. I don't know how long I'd be on board for. I don't know when I'd quit. I'd probably inevitably quit.
I was gonna say, so you're not on board then? Like,
well, at the very least,
try at least, but you're not gonna make it.
I'm down to try. Yeah, I have no promises of making it, but I'd say yes to the idea of it.
See, I wouldn't. Because I know we just want to do it. We wouldn't like it. You know, we just want to do it. We should play. I mean, I'd rather you and me say we're gonna platinum some dumb game together. You know, something co-op related.
I guess. Oh, I guess that'd be a fun time. Yeah. Also, you are wearing a shirt that says donuts, which is like,
you know, you wear it proudly. Team Fat. What are you gonna do about here? You know what I mean? Like. Who am I trying to impress? What am I trying to prove out here?
That's a good point.
There's only so many hours in the day. You got to decide how you want to maximum them out. You know, what do you want to do with them?
That's fair.
I like
Barrett, would you run a marathon?
Right, Barrett, would you run a marathon? Oh, he was saying he might have to step away for Lulu.
Yeah, he did say that.
No, I wouldn't run a marathon. Which would I had to think about it because
I appreciate that. I like that you want to clear the mind. It's a lot like at one time after Up at Noon, I came off a set and there was a guy who had started IGN and I don't remember who it is anymore. He's like sales team or whatever. And he came over and was like, hey, I just started the sales team. No, I'm trying to do all these cool things. I think I might have an in for you to go skydiving. Do you want to go skydiving? And I went, no. And I was like, oh, there was no hesitation. I didn't stop to think. My mind was completely blank and clear after the show. And he said that, and I said immediately no. And I was like, oh, I guess I always thought I had to give some world I'd want to skydive. It turned out I did not in real world.
I had to give it a moment because I feel like it would be disappointing for like my dad and my grandpa and like the ancestry because they're all cross country runners. And so, like, I feel like that lineage definitely ended with me.
Sure.
I felt if I'd kept up, you know, the physical prowess that I had back in high school, probably a different Barrett Courtney at the age of 27 today would have said yes. But that's not how things went.
We got better things to do right now. Yeah. We're gonna go play video games. You're gonna go smoke a cigarette. It's fine. But we're all gonna talk about PlayStation because this, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is PS I Love You XOXO. If you didn't know, each and every week, myself, Blessing, sometimes Janet, the game playing, marathon running, Janet Garcia, get together and talk about PlayStation. If you like that, of course, you can go to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where usually you can watch us record the show live. Today we have an embargo, so we can't. Of course, always on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. You can write in with your questions, comments, concerns. You can get the show ad free, and you can get out the exclusive post show we do each and every week. And I don't say it often, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm Greg Miller. I shoot straight from the hip. I tell you what's up. I'm honest. Everybody loves me for that. I'm known as America's Honest Abe. This is an episode that you want the post show for. All right, because it's rare that I prepare a segment. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, what do you see for post show in big old hyperlink text? America's favorite quiz show. It's just Blessing on a quiz show all by himself, Mr. Bless Who. I have the quiz show for you.
What is this? Did you prepare Greg Who?
For you.
The quiz
show? Oh, no. It's America's favorite quiz show. I don't want to reveal the name of it, which I must say is quite good. But if I revealed it ahead of time, you'd have time to prepare. And this is another one. I really want to know how much you know about this subject. All right, I want to know.
I'm so scared of what this is.
Just out of the blocks, what you know about this. At the very end, I'll reveal it as we go to the post show, so people on the live show know, or the real show know what it is, and then you can come to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames to see it. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. There's plenty of free ways to support Kinda Funny. First, you could, of course, on the Epic Game Store, use the creator code KindaFunny. That's right. If you're making a purchase on the Epic Game Store, you can put in the creator code KindaFunny, earn us a couple bucks. You might say, I only play on PlayStation. Well, no big deal. If you're playing Fortnite, Rocket League, or Fall Guys on PlayStation, you can use the Epic creator code KindaFunny there and earn us a few dollars and cents. However, if you don't want to do that, totally understandable. You can go to youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every week, every Tuesday. You get a brand new episode of PS I Love You XOXO there. Of course, you can't write in. You can't be a Patreon producer. You can't catch the post show. You have to get the ads. And that's pretty much all of it. But you still get a great show and have a good time. No matter where you get the show, thank you for your support. Consider like, subscribe, sharing, and rating and all that jazz. Some housekeeping for you before we get into the main thrust of the episode. The Ghostwire Tokyo review is now live on the Kinda Funny Gamescast. It is myself, Blessing, and Snowbike Mike. Me and Mike both beat Ghostwire Tokyo. Both of us think it's a 3 out of 5. You can go get our full review over there to find out why we think it's an okay game, but not a great game. And I'm sure I'll talk about it a bit here if we make it to what you've been playing. Of course, then number 2 in housekeeping was congratulate Janet on the marathon. I put it in here, of course, for us to congratulate, which we already have, but you need to congratulate Janet as well. Go to twitter.com/GameOnasis, drop her a congratulatory thing there, and maybe tell her, check out this post show. See Blessing finally get a taste of his own medicine. You know what I mean? Come on, it's gonna be great.
I am so scared of whatever this is. Also, can I say that our pregnant pause we did earlier is one of our best? That was a fantastic one.
Everybody's on board with the pregnant pauses lately. You know what I mean? It's an old bit that we've brought back just to make the audio listeners. I know you think you're forgotten all the time. We're gonna watch a trailer for topic of the show. You've forgotten, but now you get to actually, that's us telling you we remember you and we want you to look at your phones. Did your phone screw up? Did the podcast get uploaded wrong? No, it's just us messing with you. Because
honestly, it's the worst because I do have the glitch on my Spotify app where things will cut out and like my the bar will still keep going for like the timeline, and so like it'll still keep counting, and I'm like, all right, is this a glitch in the song that I'm listening to, or is Spotify just bugging out? And so I know somebody probably has the same thing, and they looked at their phone and they're like, they're like, oh, it's still counting. Oh, it's probably Spotify, and then they hear you come back in, and they're like, ah, fuck, he got me. He really got me. Damn.
Remember, whenever we get you with a pregnant pause, ladies and gentlemen, you need to tweet at me and Blessing. Let us know, because we like to know. And you can just say, pregnant pause work. Just tweet Blessing. Just tweet Blessing then. That's fine. In fact, maybe in the post show, I'll give out Blessing's phone number. You can text him. If you want to hear that post show, you should be like our Patreon producers, Gordon McGuire, Fargo Brady, Pranksky, Dan, Golden Spider B, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, First Responder ND, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, James Hastings, Casey, Andrew. Of course, you could also be like our sponsors and support them. That's Cuts Clothing, Lumen Skin, and Honey, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with topic of the show. Blessing, it's a big day.
It is.
This only happens 3, maybe 4 times in a lifetime, but there's a brand new Ghostbusters game coming out. It's Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. It has been officially announced. This is the game from IllFonic, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, the creators of Friday the 13th, Predator Hunting Grounds. This game had kind of made the rounds in KFGD news before, where like the founder, not even somebody who like makes the games, but somebody who owns it, but like owns part of IllFonic or whatever, was on a radio show because he's a rap artist, and then he said that they were working on a Ghostbusters game, and everybody's like, "What? No, are you? No," and nobody knew about it. And then Ernie Hudson, during Ghostbuster Afterlife stuff, it said, "Oh yeah, we're working on a new video game. I just recorded my lines, and people got the script, and people are like, what is that? Is that the same thing from the IllFonic thing?" And it turns out it was all the thing. It's Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Now, what's exciting about this is many, many things, Blessing. Number one, I don't know if you know, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. Are you aware of this, Blessing?
I mean, I am looking at your room all lit up in green, and then also the proton pack you have in the back left corner of your room. Yeah. And so I do know this. I do know this about you.
Trap over here, too.
I thought Andy was the big Ghostbusters fan.
Don't do that to me, Barrett. Not today. All right, not on today of all days. All right, please don't do that to me. So number one, it's just a big deal for me that there's the Ghostbusters game. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's a big deal for me that it's IllFonic. If you don't remember, I was obsessed with Friday the 13th and made you all play a lot of Predator Hunting Grounds as well. So it's a developer that makes a lot of fun experiences that I really, really enjoy, despite the usual bugs. But we want to talk about that because they actually talk about that in their preview thing. I've played Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I didn't expect the embargo to drop right now. I went and played it at GDC today, Monday. That's why the show isn't live, is because then we find out the embargo for this is going to be tomorrow morning, or 6 a.m. when you're listening to this, if everything went right. Jeez, I hate when I say stuff like that because then I out the fact that if it was early, I screwed up the embargo. Anyways, though, the Spirits Unleashed embargo is popping today. And then the other thing that's exciting about it, Blessing at AOE Jr., is that I'm in this game. I'm going to be a voice in this game.
Oh,
I know. You want to talk about a lifelong dream coming true or whatever. I'm going to be in Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I can't reveal the role yet. I'm co-starring alongside the one, the only Rahul Kohli. Rahul Kohli also going to be in this game. And of course, Ernie Hudson in here reprising his role as Winston Zeddemore, and then Dan Aykroyd being Ray Stantz, of course. And so there's a lot to get into about this game, but I wanted all that at the very front. So, number one, I'm Greg Miller, and if you're new to the show for some reason, I'm already completely in the tank for Ghostbusters, which could go one of two ways for you, where I'm totally hard on the game, like I was Sanctum of Slime, which was a terrible Ghostbusters game, or maybe I'm too nice to a game, or I like Ghostbusters too much for it. But then also I'm in the game, so you can take my opinion with a grain of salt. However, if you're one of the people who watch PS I Love You every week, I'm pretty sure you know at this point that I would call it like I see it, no matter what's going on with it. And I haven't recorded my lines, so I don't even know what the script's like. I just know that I'm in the game and we're doing the thing, and I've seen my character from long before I ever played the game. However, all that said, Barrett, you have the trailer. Blessing, you have not watched the debut trailer yet, right?
No, I've not.
This will be posting at 6 a.m. alongside, well, as long as nobody leaks it, that happens all the time, alongside PS I Love You. So we're going to watch it here. If you're an audio listener, I think it's pretty good audio-wise. You should double back, obviously, to see what the game is. But you're not going to have a boring minute and a half. But it is a minute and a half of us listening and watching a trailer. But I want you to watch it, Bless. I want your opinion. I want to talk about this game, multiplayer, the Ghostbusters aspect, everything.
Yeah. We saved the world a few times. But between that, we provided a needed service to the masses. That's where you come in. We're passing the torch, or better yet, passing the particle thrower, giving you the tools. Now let's see if you have the talent.
Our style looks really good.
Yeah, right?
Keep your head up and your equipment charged. We're a team working together to watch each other's back.
Now, I know you're still a ghost-busting trainee, but there's much more here than meets the eye. Take a look at this. You have the chance to see firsthand what exists on the other side. Catching ghosts is only the half of it.
Oh, interesting.
So you want to play
It
as
said
a
be
ghost?
the ghost if you're an audio listener.
It's like 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer, it looks like.
I'd like to see you try to take on my team.
So let me give you, and Barrett, if you want to just loop the trailer or whatever you want to do, you're a producer. I'll leave it to you. From the top of the press release, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, the 4v1 hunt supernaturally charged video game from the asymmetrical multiplayer experts at IllFonic, rolls out the Ecto 1 in Q4 2022 on PC for Epic Game Store, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S, and Xbox One. What is important from the top is that it is cross-play. It is everywhere, so you don't need to worry about it. It's, you can play with people on PC, you can play with Xbox, you can do whatever you want to. It's all there. And the other thing about it is, obviously, 4v1, they're calling it right there. I think one of the big things about this is that they have learned from, I think, this not failings, but the stalling blocks people had for Predator and for Friday the 13th, and that you can play it single player if you want to. You can go in and you can be a ghost against 4 AI Ghostbusters. You can be one human Ghostbuster with 3 AI companions against an AI ghost. Like, that's completely supported in this, and they want it to be that way. And that, for me, was the biggest thing of, sitting down to talk to the team today and get the demo and hear them, with their sales pitch and actually where we are and fleshed out with the game about it. That really stood out for me, Bless, is the fact that I really do feel, you talked to the beginning or during it, like you like the art style. Again, I'm a big IllFonic fan. I love Friday the 13th. I enjoyed Predator Hunting Grounds. Both of those games, plenty of jank in them. Both of those games, rough around the edges. Both of those games have a litany of server connection problems and yada, yada, yada stuff. The core gameplay was fun. We had fun with that, but I think we always called it down the middle of what it was. For me so far, and I'm playing on, obviously, PCs, demo PCs at that, this is the best looking game they've ever done and the best running game. Now, again, I usually play on PC and stuff, or I usually play on PlayStation, not on PC and stuff. So I'm playing on a PC now. Who knows what it'll run like on a PlayStation 5. But I was impressed with how it looked and how it ran, but more importantly, how they talked about it. One of the things they kept coming back to, and they put in their press, or one of their things was easy to pick up in a fun to master game experience. And I know everybody says that, Bless. Obviously, that's the goal of any video game, anything that you're going to play with your friends, right? But it was the fact that they talked a lot about our Let's Play with Jason Mewes. Do you remember this when Jason Mewes played Predator with us?
I do not remember this.
It was one of our streams.
Predator so many times.
Yeah, Mewes popped in to play Predator with us, and we were having a great time. And when he was Predator, he was in there and he was having a lot of fun. And then we beat the living fuck out of him. You know what I mean? And what IllFonic was talking to me today about is, like, they were watching that and they were so upset to see him demoralized that way. To the point of, like, when it was over, like, do you want to be Predator again? He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of that. And so they're trying to come at this game in a way that the stakes aren't lower, but it's more forgiving in terms of, hey, how do you want to get in there and learn how to be a ghost or a Ghostbuster? You can do that and not feel like you've let down the entire team. You failed the entire operation. And one of their things was talking about was, trying and like their goal is to have matchmaking be so incredibly quick. the fact that they want matches to be 7 to 10 minutes a piece. So like they are quick, they are fast. They're not like Friday the 13th was an investment of time. Predator could go either way on what you're doing, right? They want these to be that you are jumping in, and it'll even, if there's people aren't ready to go, it will kick you in with the AI to get you rolling and then backfill the slots so that when your game finishes, you can immediately roll into a game with people and have that ready to go that way. And then it's this idea of like, I'm talking about the demoralization of Jason Mewes, right? That's how they've gone in and played the Ghostbusters and Ghost sides of this game, where the objective here obviously is, if you're a Ghostbuster, to catch the ghost, right? You go like I played 2 different games. The only map I've played, I should say, is the museum map, right? And there's a couple other you see go through that, but the idea is that there's this museum, there's a ghost that's haunting it, who would be a player, obviously. When you go in there as the Ghostbuster, you're obviously out to catch the ghost. The ghost is out to haunt the entire place, which means scare all the civilians to 100%, as you'll see sometimes. I don't know if you see it here, but in some of the B-roll you would see, scare it to 100%, and then like hold that for an amount of time before the Ghostbusters can capture you and you win, kind of thing. The idea being that as a ghost, you have these things called rifts to the other side. And so you are putting down these portals, which kind of act as your extra lives. So for the museum, the ghost has 3 rifts to drop. And so as a Ghostbuster, you're going around trying to capture the ghost, but you're also looking for those rifts. If you break up all the rifts, you blow up all 3 of them, then the next time you catch the ghost, it's game over. But if there, as long as there's a rift open, if you capture the ghost will come back through the rift. That way, that if you are dropping in for the first time and don't know how to be the ghost, or you want to try some kind of crazy move or strategy, you can respawn and come back to it. And so I'm throwing a lot of information at you, Bless, but I wasn't excited to be the ghost. My fantasy is to be the Ghostbuster. And at the end of my first match of being the ghost, I was like, oh shit, I get it. And I'm actually into this, and I actually want to do this.
That was giving me my first question is, like, when you first picked up the controller, did it make sense? Did you get it? Because I know for me, when I first played Predator Hunting Grounds, that was kind of the big hiccup I had when I was playing on day one, where they throw you in, you are the I guess the hunters, not the non-predator. You're like one of the
army. You're the fire team.
Yeah, you're the fire team, right? And you're like going on the hunt for the predator as he's hunting you. And like, I remember being like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? Because it is a thing of, you can go and do objectives. You can like pay attention to the predator. The objectives are different from camp to camp, right? And like, there's certain systems around like getting ammo, getting guns, getting the material you need, and all that stuff. It felt like there was a lot going on. Does Ghostbusters, in that first instance, does it have as much going on, or does it feel a bit more pared down to be more simple?
It's not nearly as much going on as being Predator, either the fire team or the ghosts. I do think for ghosts, there was that learning curve. It took me an entire match, like I said, where at the very end that it was kind of like a light bulb of like, oh, okay. Because like the portal thing, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just the way it was explained to me by the demo or whatever at the time, didn't feel crystal clear on what that was exactly. But then as I'm playing the thing and I see the civilians and I scare the civilians, and then that moves, and then the Ghostbusters, run over and they're finding the portals and blowing those up. I can, pick up a portal and I can move it and I can tuck it away in corners. And like, one of the things I love about this game, and I think could sound like a turnoff to people, but I do think will actually work for what kind of game they're building here for the Ghostbusters, for being a Ghostbuster, is the minutia of it. And I don't mean the minutia in the way you were just talking of like fire team and predator. You can go do the objective. You can do this thing. There's a side objective over there. What about this? Friday the 13th. Do you want to work together? Do you want to run to the hills? Do you want to get the car up and running, but you need the gas, but you need not that kind of thing. The fact that when you start this as the Ghostbusters, right, is you walking into the museum, and then it's like, okay, cool, bust out your PKE meters. And you have to break out your PKE meters, right, and do the hot and cold, like try to find the ghost and have it go that way, right? And this also will tell you where the rifts are too. Like, you have to actually do the Ghostbuster side of the investigation of where is the creature, where is this? And the maps the map I'm playing is fairly big. Like, it's a museum with a lot of different rooms. So it was like I'm in a room with nothing, but then I hear the other Ghostbusters busting, and there'll be a call out over, it's over by the big dinosaur, it's over in the Gozer exhibit, something like that. And if you eventually learn the map, you can run to it, right? But it is that idea of there's all these different things in there that are layered in a way that the only objective as a Ghostbuster, right, is to beat the ghost, which comes down to, capturing it and also blowing up the rifts, right? Which I think is a way simpler thing from before. But as you see going through for the PKEs, right, it's follow that. I appreciate that there is an actual sense of teamwork here. And again, you can play single player, and I'll be interested to see how the AI actually wraps their head around it. But you see a ghost, right? And like, if you watch the movies, and I know I've watched a lot of movies, right? One of the things is it is a team effort, the Ghostbusters, right? Like it always is them working together to wrangle a ghost, no matter how big or small for the most part. And so one of the things here is that when you throw the neutrino wand, right? When you throw your proton particle stream and you capture the ghost, if you've captured the ghost and you don't have the trap out, like you have to cut your stream to throw the trap out, which again is minutia and sounds, I think, to some like a detriment. But to me, as a like trying to role play a Ghostbuster, it makes sense that you can't take both hands off. You can't take one hand off of a firing particle thrower, right, to then get your trap. So you have to have that out, or be like the movies, right? Call for a trap. Call for your friend to put out the trap. And then when you do that, like there's a like not a mini game to them, but there is like battery power on them, right? They charge up when they're not in use. So you can't just throw down your traps and leave them out forever. You also have to pick up your traps. So you throw out your trap and the ghost runs away. You have to scoop up your trap rather than run after it and get over there, which of course I did and other players did. So you get over there and be like, oh, nobody's got a trap. God, you know what I mean? Like there's that not bumbling thing to it, but there is like a fun science to it of when it isn't working, or like when there are these little things of like you actually have to communicate and act like a team. And sure, as I got more and more confident being a buster with more and more games, there was the idea of like, I am all alone. I see the ghost. I'm going to throw the trap out and hope. I throw out the trap and then try to wrangle the ghost and get it over here. But then, of course, there's, you can overheat your pack. And one of the things as you're doing, playing the game, right, is that for ghosts and Ghostbusters, you are leveling up. You are getting better cosmetics and equipment stuff. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I was going to ask, I think I was going to lead into my next thing, which is like, what is changing match to match? Because I know for Predators and like to some extent, like even Friday the 13th, but Predators specifically, right, you can choose between different classes of Predator and you have different abilities. And for the Fire team, you have different guns and different perks and different stuff that you can equip that'll make each match feel different, along with different maps and different things like that. For Ghostbusters, do they have a similar level of, before you go into a match, you are equipping a certain class of buster, or you are picking a certain type of ghost that you're going to run this round? And does that change things very dynamically match to match?
I can only speak to what they've said. I haven't seen all that play out. But yes, to what you're saying. For a ghost, as you play and you level up, you unlock different versions. So as you start, you're the little, and I don't want to speak out of turn here and get eaten alive by the comments. The guy who looks like Slimer, you're a little Slimer. I don't think you are Slimer, but you're the green guy you saw at the beginning. That's who I played as and ran around and did my business with, right? And he has 3 abilities at the bottom, which are generate some minions, do this like tornado kind of if you get surrounded, and then slime people. And that's like special abilities that take time to recharge. Also, there's he has a little stamina bar that's called ectoplasm. That's what you're using to haunt the place, right? Scare the civilians, fly faster. It's stamina. So it's like stuff like that in terms of where you're running around. But as you see like these bigger versions of Ghost, that's I think is your unlike. Maybe it's the purple guy, actually. Now it's my head's playing trick with something. Maybe it was a purple Ghost. But like there's a basic Ghost you start off as that you fly around and do it. And then you unlock these different forms as you go. And then I assume they come with different moves, different abilities and things of that nature, right? And then for Ghostbusters, yeah, it's the same thing of when you go, there's an equipment desk you can go out and build your loadout, and so your pack's completely customizable. Maybe it was just a Slimer. And you go through and you can change up the cosmetics of your pack, but I also think they give you buffs. I could be wrong, but I also think they give you buffs in terms of like, hey, is this going to make your pack overheat slower, faster? I think there's PKE enhancements of like hey, does this find it quicker or get around that? I'm pretty sure on that. But yeah, there is this thing of going through and leveling up the pack, but also unlocking a bunch of cosmetics and stuff like that.
It's funny because like as you describe it, as like Barrett shows gameplay, it reminds me a little bit of Phasmophobia, but like very different in the way that Phasmophobia is technically, I guess, ghost hunting, ghost hunting, right? Where you arrive at a house and you have a bunch of tools in your van outside, and you are talking to your teammates, trying to figure out what tools to bring in to try and figure out what type of ghost you're hunting, and then like where the ghost is, and then eventually how to like, I forget if you actually capture the ghost or not in Phasmophobia, but you are essentially trying to solve things via the equipment that you have and that they give you. Is there any level of, hey, like we got to figure out what ghost this is before we capture it in not Friday the 13th, Ghostbusters?
Not that I've seen. That doesn't seem to be a part of it. But again, I only played as the one ghost, so I'm not sure if it only went up against the one ghost. I don't know if it would change. I think it would, if anything, be maybe a conversation between the players of knowing,
gotcha,
what the special moves are for that ghost or whatever. But then there's a bunch of stuff in it, like, again, like there's the super moves, but then there's like the basic stuff the ghost can do, which is like you can possess items and like use them to throw the Ghostbusters off your trail. Like one of the things I did is like, I'm chasing the ghost and he went around the corner and I came around and like you can go inside of things to hide, similar to Phasmophobia, right? Which recharges your stamina quicker as a ghost. But you can also then possess items. So like a trash can started hopping away and I gave chase to the trash can. And at the very end, and I zapped it and busted it to pieces. That my Ghostbuster character was like, what was it? Fooled by a ghost. How demoralizing or how disorienting or something like that. And it was like, okay, yeah, like I can see where that would be a move that you're doing to, get them off your trail, right? There's this hide and seek mechanic to it, both of hiding the rifts and then trying to haunt the entire place without getting caught as you run around and do it.
Gotcha. You also mentioned like you talk about the art style, right? And how this looks like it is going to be the best looking IllFonic game that we've seen thus far. And like we talk about the jankiness of Friday the 13th and Predator Hunting Grounds. And like even I played a lot of the early access for Arcadegeddon, which it seems
that's
like
another IllFonic game. Yeah, we have
another IllFonic game.
No one talks about it, but yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, and like it's supposed to come out I think in full this year. But like they're working on a lot of stuff, and so it's really impressive that they're announcing this and it's coming out later this year.
Yeah, Q4 is what they say.
Q4, yeah, but also like impressive that it seems like they're getting better and their stuff is getting more polished. Like, did it seem like it like I guess fidelity wise, right? Like, did it look beautiful in that regard? Did it look like a PS5 game? Does it show like something that feels like it is doing something really dope technically, or is it mainly the art style that feels like it's carrying it forward?
I would say it's hard to say, and I don't want to go speak out of turn because I'm playing on a PC with high specs and all that jazz. I would say it looked gorgeous, and I would say what was interesting for me was the lighting effects. Because as you're going through, obviously there's this giant museum that you can see through like archways to other sides of it, and there would be times where I would see, what looked to be the hue of a Ghostbuster using his proton pack, right? And I was like, oh, something's happening over there. That's where the ghost is. And I'd put down my PKE meter and run over there, right? But instead it was just the ghost had haunted that area and made the area purple. And so it was like all of a sudden, like the light refracting over there wasn't actually what I thought it was. And so there was that kind of thing. And it was too that like there's all these visual clues as you go through, or not visual clues, cues of how haunted the area is based on how it looks. Like the environment is changing as the ghost haunts that section of the museum and gets rid of the civilians and does that kind of thing. And so there's that level to it. I think it looks great. I think the effects look great. Is it like, does it scream at me PS5 game like Horizon? No, but it screams at me like a really good looking game. And again, running on PC and everything else, a game that is like looking better than what IllFonic's put out before.
Gotcha. And playing as Predator in Hunting Grounds, right? Like one of the things that I didn't like as much was I felt like when I was playing as Predator, I wasn't playing the Met 4 experience in some ways, where like playing as the fire team, right? It's first person, it's just a first person shooter, and you're going through and doing the objectives, and like it felt janky in some ways, but it didn't feel like a shoehorned like I am not supposed to play this sort of thing. Whereas like playing as Predator, even though they had a lot of mechanics that worked around as Predator, it being third person and like doing some of the actions like jumping into a tree and all these things felt very like I don't know, like stiff in a way that almost felt like if you were playing as Predator, almost felt like playing a cheat code in another game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How does playing as a ghost in this game feel like? Does it feel like a Met 4 experience?
Meant for?
Yeah, as in like you don't feel like you are, I guess, like playing a different game as a ghost, right? Like, does it?
Oh,
feel
no.
janky?
I feel like the limitations of the ghost are similar to the limitations of the Ghostbusters. Like, I felt as a ghost, it was easier to get away. I think maybe fly, and this is always so hard to say off of like like 3 or 4 games, right? I felt flying felt a little clunkier, but I think it might just be me having to get used to it, kind of thing. But like I felt as a ghost, I felt empowered to be able to get away. Like I felt like I could do my thing and then snake past the Ghostbusters real quick with my speed burst, right? And then get vertical and like just, nip and tuck around corners of like beams and stuff to get to break line of sight, to break where they could shoot me with the proton blasters, right? And it was that thing of like, when there was a lot of them, that was when it was really heightened of like, oh shit, I could be in a lot of trouble here, right? Like I can't get caught here. And if I do, then I'd be busted, which happened quite a bit. But then there was other times, right, where like that final round of the final life, I guess, of my first time being a ghost and my second match, like was a lot more cat and mouse, where it was that, once you haunt the entire place, then there's a timer, like a countdown of like, all right, I think it's like maybe 90 seconds or whatever. But like, this is how long the Ghostbusters have to catch you until you've won the entire game, right? And so there was this thing of like dodging, ducking, diving, getting away from all of them. And then I ran to like the food court and possessed a chair and just sat there. And like I sat in the chair. So then it was, I could hear them, obviously we're all in the same room kind of thing. So I could hear them like pandemonium, all their PKE meters at them, trying to figure out which way I went and trying to come in. Like, you know, it's like that bead of sweat as I watch the time click down and like they're getting closer and I don't know if they're actually going to catch up to me and they're actually going to find me or whatever. Like there's that level to it. And again, this is me jumping in, playing the developers, right? And so again, to that thing they said at the top of, you know, fun to play, whatever, I mean, easy to play, difficult to master, but they didn't say difficult. Mm-hmm. They said something different. Fun to master. Like there's that level of it of like, when I finished, even though clearly I didn't have my, you know, my ghost legs all the way through, right? Like I didn't understand fully what a few different things, and I want to get back in there. I wanted to get back in there. It wasn't the demoralizing.
It felt like you're getting the hang of it.
Exactly, and it was also like, you know, I could easily see this being, I'm only going to play Ghostbusters, or I'm only going to play Ghost, right? But for me, I could easily see this game being, I'm only going to play Ghostbusters. But here, I would like to be the Ghost. Like I'd be down to play the Ghost and jump into random matches and see what you can do and stuff.
How are the tie-ins? Like, are there any specific references that they make? And I know you, as a preview, you probably don't get like a lot of what they're doing in terms of fan service and stuff. But like, were there things already in there that you could tell, like, oh shit, they're referencing the specific thing from this specific
Oh my god, dude, totally.
Really cool.
No, that was like my first question when the project, I got approached about the project and even seeing this thing, like, right, like the idea here is that this picks up after Ghostbusters Afterlife, like. Mm-hmm. Now it picks up with after Ghostbusters Afterlife, but it is their game, it is their thing. So like anything they do in this game is up to Ghost Corps, right? Jason Reitman and Gil, what's his last name? Jason and Gil, doesn't matter. Jason Reitman and his partner Gil at Ghost Corps, how much they actually want to take into it, how much they actually want to do with it in terms of whatever. But the idea here is that at the spoilers for the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife, you know, Winston reopens the firehouse and brings back in the Ecto-1 and kind of reopens the Ghostbusters. And so this is like picking up from there of like, all right, cool, the Ghostbusters are back, they need new recruits, and you're joining the team. And so let alone the fact that Winston's there in his, you know, as you saw in the trailer, right, his businessman outfit. It's then the firehouse. Like, you know, I mean, like, I'm a huge dork, as you know, for all this shit. So, like, going over to the Ghostbusters closets to gear up, to, you know, open the door and put on my outfit and go through and like, even right now with a level 1 character, have the option of like, and I don't know if this will be at launch, right? But like, do you want the elbow pads? Do you not want the elbow pads? Do you want it to be the, you know, navy blue suits, or do you want it to be the tan gray suits? Do you, like, what do you want? Like to go through on that level? Yeah, right there. Thank you so much, Barry. Barry killing with the B-roll is amazing. Let alone then to jump to when you're over there customizing your equipment and making what, you know, again, I haven't seen that in depth of what you want your proton pack to be and what you want your thrower to be and what you want your PKE to be. But like, you know, putting on glasses and doing all that. And then of course, to go upstairs, like you free roam in between missions, you free roam the firehouse. And so you're walking around, there's NPCs there that are like, I think mission givers and challenge givers and stuff like that, because challenges will unlock different equipment and different outfit items and stuff like that. But I couldn't talk to them for this demo or whatever. And then you go down the basement and, you know, the containment unit's there, and you go upstairs and there's the arcade and like the test area where you mess with all your stuff. Then though, the one thing Barrett showed there in terms of like, you know, tie-ins to the movies or whatever is Ray's Occult Bookshop. Like in this universe or whatever, it's right next to the firehouse. And so you can walk through basically the side door of the firehouse. And I think in the very beginning, if you wanted to, Bear, they show the firehouse with you can actually see it next to it. It's just one of those, if you blink and you miss it kind of things, or if you weren't looking for it. But you go through the firehouse, there you go, through the firehouse, through that alleyway and into Ray's bookshop. And that's where you can talk to Dan Aykroyd, and you open up Tobin's Spirit Guide, and that'll project you into the ghost world where you can mess with your ghost loadout and what you want your ghost to be. Or
shit.
I assume that's where you'd enter into your ghost. If you're going to play the game as the ghost, that's where you'd enter into it and stuff.
Wait, so it has like an explorable hub area they can walk around in?
100%. Yeah. And you talked, well, that's the thing about it too, that I guess I buried the lead on. Sorry, there's so much to talk about. And clearly I'm so excited. Is that, so Predator and Friday the 13th, right? Mm-hmm. Both asymmetrical games. For sure, Predator, you were, you know, you were getting XP or whatever and unlocking new items and stuff to go use and whatever. Ghostbusters, that's happening in the Firehouse hub world, but there is a story actually happening. Like there is a single player story mode thing that's happening inside of it. And again, you can play with other people, you can play it by yourself, but it is that you come back, and as you're completing objectives or whatever it is, whatever the, you know, the gatekeeping thing is, no pun intended, then the next part of the story plays out. And so it isn't that you're just getting Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd, you know, spouting like, welcome to the team, Ghostbusters are, oh, there's this thing going, like there's a narrative they're telling you for what's happening in the game. So
can you play it offline?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
dope.
double checked on that. Yeah. You can play it offline. They said so. You can go through and do that. Play it with the AI if you want to. They seemed unclear, at least the demo or I was doing, in terms of like playing offline. If it's then stores your stuff locally, because obviously there's a server thing going on with it or whatever, and then when you would ping online, if that's where it would, I don't know, that kind of thing. But they did say you can play offline. So even if you didn't want to play offline, you can just play with AI the entire way through. Like you could check that box and go through and never have to worry about it. But if you're worried about an always online connection, they seemed, at least the person I was talking to, seemed a little iffy on it. So.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
they said
that's nice. That, like, at the very least, like if the server's down, or if you just can't find a match for whatever reason, like, and you still want to play the game, it's nice to be able to get in there and get a match in.
Well,
with AI.
honestly, that's, I mean, one of the things I think is, again, them learning from their mistakes, the Jason Mewes story, right, is the fact that you can go practice. Like, and I know that sounds stupid, but it is that thing of like
learning the rules and stuff sometimes.
It did suck. I mean, like, you can go watch our Predator Let's Plays where we pass it to anybody, but I'm going to call out that time we passed it to Nick. And then it was like, all right, cool. We've all mudded up and we start running. And we turn a corner and Nick's on the ground. And we're like, get him! Just fucking kill Nick. You know what I mean? Like, that shit sucks. So, like, to get in there, like, especially when you unlock a new ghost and you want to go screw around with it, right? Or what I'm going to want to do is, like, not I want to work with people and I want to call stuff out, but I also want to get into the rhythm of, like, all right, if I threw down the trap and then I got the ghost, like, what do I need to be pulling in what direction and that kind of thing? Like, I'm gonna go pro in this game.
Yeah, like you want to get good.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a terrifying thought.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at my notes here. So for the single player mode or single mode, and that's again being loose because it's all one thing, right? It's the progression in rank. So as you rank up, you get the different story beats, and then as you rank up, you unlock the different ghosts and change your Ghostbusters gear around that way. They're shooting for a T rating.
Have they talked about like any sort of battle pass or any sort of like, because it sounds like they do have a level up system from that, right? Like that sounds like it's going to be it. But do they have an additional battle pass or anything like that?
From what they said, no. There's no battle pass in it. This isn't a games as a service. I don't think you should disqualify DLC eventually, but I don't think they're talking about. There's nothing like a paid battle pass or anything like that. That's all tacked on and that's all in the game. Level up and get the stuff.
Okay. I mean, it seems cool. Like this seems like I'm down to try this out with like you and the team because it sounds like it's
clearly I'm gonna drag you along.
Yeah, like you're for sure gonna drag us along. But like I'm more excited about this than Predator Hunting Grounds. Yeah. I think part of that is just like from seeing the trailer looks like it has a cool art style and like the gameplay sounds a bit more polished from what you're talking about compared to the Predator Hunting Grounds. Like Predator Hunting Grounds, I think was fun to fuck around in, and it was fun to like. One, as a way to hang out with y'all, but then also like as all right, let's turn our minds off, do this objective, and then Nick shows up out of nowhere, and then we have those funny moments of, oh shit, all right, like we all bullied this guy as he was Predator, or like Andy's really good as Predator, like having those moments of it. Ghostbusters, from what I'm gathering from watching this trailer and from just like I think the evolution of Alphonic, it seems like it's gonna be a better video game, which excites me because I think like. Having that type of video game be good, I think is exciting because we don't get that many 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer games that really knock it out the park. And Ilphonic, I feel like they're one of the few ones that's still doing it.
Not to talk shit about the other games because clearly, as you know, I love them despite their flaws. I would say, and what's hard for me to say too, like what is I think a little bit hard because obviously you look at this game right and like. Keep in mind, this means now I've gotten basically, I would say this game is my dream game, but like Ghostbusters, the video game, which was the third movie at the time, was a dream game too. So like I'm getting two different dream games of Ghostbusters here. The thing I would say that makes it hard for me as a Ghostbusters fan, I can only speak from that perspective, is that the game to me versus Friday the 13th versus Predator Hunting Grounds, and again, from just a few matches that I've played, is more fun. And I don't know what that means for depth necessarily. The story beats, that'll, I think, really flesh it out in what you're doing, unlocking new ghosts, unlocking new equipment, all that jazz. Like, that'll be there. But it's the idea, like you're talking about it being a more video game in the way that this is meant to be fun. This is meant to be that, you get in there and you screw up your first two riffs, but you figure out a good hiding spot for the last one. And that brings it down to the final 2 minutes. And then you're running up from, you know what I mean? Like, you're running from the ghost. You're doing all these different things. Like, you are in there to have fun, and even when you fuck it up, you want how to fix it next time and not feel like Predator Hunting Grounds, where it was that it took forever to load in. We finally get in, we kill the Predator, or the Predator's way better than us and destroys us. And then you get out, you're like, well, I enjoyed parts of that, but like so much of the waiting, so much of the ass kicking, I didn't enjoy. This seems like not lower stakes, but more forgiving, I guess. I think it's more forgiving and more fun when you fuck up too, of like, I've got him. My pack overheated. He's getting away. You show up late with the trap, or we're over there doing it, and I'm, I got the trap out too slowly, or I closed it too early, or something to that effect. And like, there's a bunch of little stuff in there. And again, like, I am the huge Ghostbusters dork that like I'm just excited. I love the hot and cold game with the PKE because even Ghostbusters, the video game, used the PKE, but it didn't use it like the movies did. Whereas this is very much like, cool, you're in a brand new place with, you know, a human being being a ghost that can put it anywhere, go anywhere. You know, what are you going to do? How is that going to play out? And I feel like that gives it too of like every match having a different feel of like, you know, finding hiding spots that work really well and then other ones that won't. And then taking that strategy of like, I think it's cool of like, if y'all bit on this and got into it like I got into it, right? Of having a, you know, hey, we're gonna play Ghostbusters tonight and we're gonna go beat the hell out of things. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna go find ghosts online to do it. Or if we just want to be like, I just want to chase an AI into it and have fun that way. Or the usual thing of, you know, me being a psycho and being the ghost and you guys all trying to find me. Like I'm impressed with what I've done. And I think that is, first off, take it with a grain of salt because like I said, I'm a voice in the game, but whatever. But is saying something based on the fact that I think I have been honest about the shortcomings of Friday the 13th and the shortcomings of Predator Hunting Grounds, right? And the fact that, like, again, this is a Ghostbusters game, which, yes, I'm going to be excited for, but I'm also going to have a not more critical eye than the rest of you, but I would call them on their shit if it wasn't looking accurate.
I mean, it's the way that like when you care deeply about something, you see its shortcomings more because you want it to be as excellent as possible. And like I think you fall into that camp. And like I you know, I think it's really easy to like pick apart and see the stuff that IllFonic can do better because they are a small studio and like they're.
And the thing about it though is
improvement in their previous games.
Again, you're here on PS I Love You XOXO. I know that I'm talking to kind of funny people who come here because they know who I am and the way I talk to developers. The thing I'd like to call out about this is the fact, of course, they know this. IllFonic doesn't sit there and go, Predator Hunting Grounds is a perfect game. Friday the 13th was awesome. They say those games were fun and we fucked up a lot of shit in them. We want to be better. And we think we're being better with this one. And they're really trying. And I think, you know, even the fact that like, it seems like they learned a lot of lessons about crossplay, I think, out of the box with Predator Hunting Grounds. The fact that they're committing to that and they're like, we're going to have that up and running day one, ready to go. Like, I think that's telling and I think that's cool. Yeah. I emailed them during the show just to do it. Yes, as you level up, your packs are getting stronger, your traps are getting better battery or whatever, something to that effect. Your equipment is leveling up as well. That is the thing that as you play and get better, obviously your equipment's going to get better. That's what you're leveling up.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like, I mean, we were talking about IllFonic as a studio and them getting better with their development, right? Like, Arcade-Ageddon is a game that I was surprised when I played it, and I was surprised by how much I actually enjoyed it. And like, of course, there was like a lot of room for improvement in that one too, right? When you're talking about like adding in more levels, when you're talking about what the progression is going to be, and that game was very early access when I played it. But even from just sitting down and playing the few days of it that I did, like I was surprised by how fun the core gameplay loop was. I liked the idea of it being a third-person action roguelite where you are doing co-op and it does take place in this fun arcade setting. And like one of the things I did notice the most out of it was like the art style and how vibrant it was. And it feels like that step up where they jumped into Arcade-Ageddon, went for it in art style, and now that they're working on they're working on, I keep wanting to say the other games. They're working on Ghostbusters. They're like, cool, like let's take our learnings, let's take the way that we leveled up with Arcade-Ageddon, no pun intended, and then put it into Ghostbusters and make that game look better and hopefully feel better. Because Arcade-Ageddon, I'd say feels really good to play. So I'm excited for this.
If I had cons or like worries, I would say, right? I think that's a better way to put it. It would be, of course, like I don't know how many maps are in the game or how many it's going to ship with, right? So I don't know how many there'd be and if they're going to be diverse enough and if that would be the thing. And then I wonder, since I'm not seeing the story and I'm not seeing the progression, if that'll be enough to lock people in. Because like, again, like I'm very excited for this game, and like I'm going to be the guy who's like playing it. I want to level it up. Obviously, I'm going to want to platinum it if they don't fuck up their trophy list. Again, I'm still offering to make their trophy list for them. It's the idea that like I don't want it to be that it's a game you like to play for 2 or 3 matches and then bounce off and do something else for your night. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, and that's how I feel about it too. Is that it's a cool, start up to the night or a wind down to the night or a cool thing to stream every so often, but not really get all the way invested and do that. And so like I think being a Ghostbuster, I think feels great. They added in this grappling hook so you can actually traverse a bit quicker. Cause like, again, it's multi-leveled museums. So there's staircases and things, but I think you had to run all the way over and up the stairs every time the ghost is going to see it. Yeah. They have a grappling hook that like doesn't feel stiff, but it feels weird to be a Ghostbuster using a grappling hook, but it works for the world they've built, if that makes sense. Again, for this cat and mouse game and chasing each other, I think it works there. And then, the ghost, like I said, like I need more time with it. It didn't feel natural, but I don't know how many flying games do. Like you got to figure out how to be a ghost and all this stuff, and there's a bunch of different things to figure out. As I've obviously dreamed of being a Ghostbuster my entire life, but never so much about being a ghost.
How's the voice acting? I heard they got Greg Miller in it.
He hasn't recorded any lines yet, so we'll see.
Okay.
It could be one of those things I quietly get replaced because it turns out I'm terrible.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And like this is just how game development is, right? Where like there's so much put together that things come later, and you're still able to preview the game. I am surprised though that like you're able to preview the game, and there's still voice lines that for whole characters seemingly that like aren't in there. And even though I don't know what character you play, you might just play a civilian, or you could play the main character.
Hey, get out of here, Ghost! Leave my sandwich alone. That's the kind of high quality stuff you'll get from me.
Hell yeah.
But more news on that when we can talk about that part because they want to reveal that in me and Rahul later. But I can say at the top at least we're there. But I'm stoked. I'm excited. Again, like as a Ghostbuster fan and then a fan of Vilconic, like I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it.
We'll have to wait and see. For now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, something that's a lot of fun. It's called patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You could be a Patreon producer. You can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show featuring America's #1 game show today. For now, though, right now on the show, it would really benefit you not to hear the ads. But guess what, Jack? You're not listening on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. So here's a word from our sponsor. All right, guys, let's talk about skincare. If your skincare routine is basically you washing your face in the shower with that one shower gel you've been using since high school, then it's time to level up your skincare game. But thanks to Lumen, you can drop that bottle of 3-in-1 and start using products that actually take care of your skin. All their products aim to help with those stubborn acne scars, under-eye dark circles, wrinkles, sun damage, dry skin, oily skin, and more. Starting with Lumen is easy. All you have to do is take their 2-minute quiz on their website, and they'll tell you exactly what routine is best for you based on your skincare needs. Plus, all their products are made using only natural ingredients that actually work. Guys, I swear, skincare shouldn't be that complicated thing we dread doing, and thanks to Lumen, it's simple. It takes you less than 90 seconds of your day. It's easy, and you'll have skin as smooth as Kevin Coelho's shaved cheeks. Level up your skincare game with Lumen Skin today. Go to lumenskin.com/kindafunny to get your free trial of Lumen's products. That's LUMIN skin.com/kindafunny to get your free trial of Lumen's products. That's lumenskin.com/kindafunny. This, of course, is one of my favorite sponsors of all time. It's Honey, ladies and gentlemen. When you're shopping online, it's easy to save money on your iPhone or computer. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site, and if Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch your prices drop. Here's, ladies and gentlemen, where I go and I hit pause on the ad because I use Honey all the time. This is my Google Chrome, and right there is the Honey button. You install it there. You can use it on your iPhone too, but it's great. It saves you money, and then if you're logged into, it accrues Honey coins that you can then spend on gift cards and stuff all the time. But then yesterday I was buying some Mizzou stuff off the internet. Guess what? There it is. I don't even think about it. Honey just pops up, little dancing coin. He's like, "You want me to save you some money?" And I'm like, "Yes, you do." If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. I'd never recommend something I don't use, so get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kinda. That's joinhoney.com/kinda. Every day you gotta get up, worry about work, worry about your family, worry about when you're playing games. It's too much. So remove the stress for shopping for clothes with Cuts Clothing. Cuts Clothing has perfected the art and science of men's shirts, so now you can throw on one look and look great without ever having to think about it. Plus, Cuts has all the essentials for looking sharp like tees, hoodies, polos, and more, so you can stop bouncing between brands and shopping for different shirts. Tim Geddes loves Cuts. He went online, found the blues he loved, and then had them shipped to his door so he can go get haircuts and stare at electronics knowing he looks great. Cuts has totally revolutionized the traditional outdated t-shirt category. They make it easy to mix and match styles and colors so you can find the perfect style. They even developed their own fabric that's soft as hell and guaranteed not to pill or shrink. Join hundreds of thousands of guys who have made the simple decision to elevate their wardrobe with Cuts. Get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/kindafunny. That's CUTS clothing.com/kindafunny for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing. Blessing, hit me with some PlayStation updates.
Greg, PlayStation has bought Haven Studios.
What?
Yeah, it's funny because like when you mentioned how big of a day it was, I was like, yeah, Greg, PlayStation's bought a studio, and then you veered right into Ghostbusters. But yeah, PlayStation's bought Haven Studios. It's a fun one.
There's so many great games from Haven Studios. It makes sense that they would.
Of course, like they've worked together so well for the last year and a month and a half. I'm gonna pull from Christopher Dring at GamesInstru.biz, who writes, PlayStation has agreed to fully acquire Haven Studios. It follows Sony's initial investment into the studio in March last year. Ever since, the team has been been working on an exclusive new IP for PlayStation, which has now been revealed as a live service experience built upon a systemic and evolving world. Post-acquisition, the studio will continue to be run by the current management team in close collaboration with PlayStation. Haven Studios currently boasts over 60 employees and is the 18th developer to join PlayStation Studios. 18. And it's so if in case you were unaware, right? Like Haven Studios is the one that is led by Jade Raymond, who would know from Assassin's Creed previously, and she's done stuff for a Star Wars game. She's done stuff for Google games. A lot of stuff didn't come out because a lot of bad luck. But yeah, that is her studio that has been acquired. Greg, how does this one sit with you? Like, do you have any sort of like takeaways or like any sort of like, I don't know, hot takes on this one? Because I feel like this is, for me, I feel like I guess my takeaway is PlayStation saw Haven Studios game, went, this looks good, and just picked them up because of it. Do you think it's as simple as that?
I think it's that in the pedigree of the team, right? Like you remember when they made the blog post announcing their partnership with them and the founding of the studio and all that jazz. Like, and this is months ago now, right? I forget when that was.
That was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. It was like last March, I believe.
It was like one of those things that like you don't see that happen with every partnership they do in every indie studio they partner with. But of course, the fact that Jade's part of it and the other, pedigree of people she had brought over to work on it, you go, okay, cool. And so, yeah, I think it's both how that game's shaping up. I think it's also the vision of the studio. And then it's also probably, they're just plans they've had for it. Right. And like the idea, of course, that I'm sure Jade and team has a lot of big ideas, but big ideas require money, right? And so it's easier than to keep partnering like this to bring them in. But then there's also the conversation of the, acquisition war we are currently in when it comes to video games. And so, you want to get out in front of that and you want to make sure that you have them lock, stock, and barrel for whatever it's going to be next. Do you think it's not that simple? You think there's something else going on?
I mean, I think it starts off as that simple, but I think you have additional stuff that makes it make more sense as you go. I think a lot of it is probably the fact that when you talk about this game, right, like it was revealed this morning that this is a live service experience built upon a systemic and evolving world, and that falls into what we've talked about with PlayStation for the last month or so as they bought Bungie. The fact that they're trying to expand their live service catalog and they're trying to go a bit harder with multiplayer, right? I think it makes sense to go, all right, like Haven Studios seems to be aligned with what we want PlayStation Studios to be, and then also I think launching that game, if that is a game that is going to live for, let's say, 5 years, right? If that's the plan for it to be an ongoing live service game, it's probably easier to just own the studio, right? And have it be a thing of, cool, we'll work alongside you, right? We'll help you out with updates in this way, right? It isn't like a cut and run kind of thing where you put out the game and then a year and a half in, it is, okay, cool, now let's put this on Xbox and on other platforms sort of thing. I think being able to own that and then work with them with that, and also like bring them into whatever systems they have going on with Bungie and the other multiplayer stuff in PlayStation, I think it makes a lot of sense for that. And Chris String over at GameStation.biz also had another article that was like a breakdown of an interview with it's Chris interviewing Herman Holst, then also interviewing Jade Raymond about the studio stuff. They mentioned a bit of like, hey, yeah, like they're a good partner. We've seen what they're working on, and they're like, they have very good progress, right? Like their game is coming along faster than we're usually than what we're used to seeing with AAA, right? I think that's one of the things they pointed out there. And then another thing they pointed out was the fact that they're located in Canada, and PlayStation doesn't have any studios in Canada, or at least didn't have any studios in Canada. And Canada is pretty huge for big game development right now. Like every other big publisher has studios in Canada.
Ryan Pawala Higgins writes into patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames and says, hello, P.S. I love you, crew. Today, PlayStation announced the purchase of Haven Studios. Is the fact that the studio is based in Montreal more of a big deal rather than an actual purchase? Oh, I'm sorry, more of a big deal rather than the actual purchase. This is PlayStation's first Canadian studio in, quote, the Silicon Valley of games, Montreal. Thanks, Ryan.
Greg, what if I told you that Ryan is double dipped in this question? This is a KFTD question.
God damn it.
But also, we didn't really answer the
question. Ban Ryan from Patreon. Ban him.
Ban Ryan from Patreon.
You have to double your Patreon pledge for next week, all right?
But also, we didn't really answer the question directly. So I'm curious to hear from you, Greg. Because like I asked the question from Ryan, and then I read the Chris String article. We never doubled back to it. Do you think that is a bigger deal than we might think?
Bigger deal? No. Part of the deal? Yeah, probably. Remember, of course, that, one of the reasons Canada is great and why he talks about, the Silicon Valley of games is the fact that the Canadian government just gives out money for video games. There's a reason so many of your favorite video games come from Canada in some regards. While your lots of times why your favorite indies come up there. Remember, if you want to be independent in the United States, it's a bitch, right? Like Obamacare helped out a lot, but one of the reasons like you didn't leave your cushy jobs before and worked 2 jobs and worked on your independent game on your own was healthcare, which isn't a problem in Canada. So you get up there, but then the tax credits the Canadian government gives out are immense for video games, right? I don't want to speak out of my ass on the actual terms, but they're ridiculous to the point of like, yeah, sure, we'll pay for like the majority of your game, if not all of it, and if it doesn't turn a profit, whatever. Like that's like they really are funding the arts that way, and I'm not speaking out of turn. And if you doubt me, when you watch your next movie, stay all the way through the fucking credits, because what will you see at the end of almost every fucking movie?
Quebec,
the Quebec, man. Because, of course, the province that Montreal is in is Quebec, and they are fucking giving away money for arts, for doing projects, for filming there, for having studios there. And so for PlayStation, that is probably a big boon of it, right? Of like, well, this studio is already running at whatever, it is in terms of financial stability. Why not come in and we could take that up, snatch that up, get that Canadian grant, and then it's like, we're only paying, I'm totally making up numbers, right? But like this studio costs 25 cents on the dollar compared to another one because of all the tax credits we're getting from Canada. And I'm sure there's kickbacks for the PlayStation as a whole because they're doing that and running Canadian businesses up there. Do I think it's bigger than the news of them buying it or whatever? No, but I think it does add into the business dollars and cents of it, where you look at it and you go, oh man, if we just owned them, we'd get that. And it actually works out to be maybe the same, if not better than the deal we're working with to have them be, partnered on this first game.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's like a perfect marriage situation where like each of these studio acquisitions that PlayStation's made in the last year or so, and I can even throw it back to the last 3 years, right? Last 4 years, I feel like there's been a tangible reason why you can kind of connect the dots on all of them. Where you look at Insomniac and it's like, cool, you've been working for years and years together. They put out Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a hit, and they want to continue to have those hits. Cool. Sony buys Insomniac. That makes sense, right? But Housemarque is one where it's like, yeah, Housemarque has been putting out dope PlayStation games for the last generation, and like Resogun came out PlayStation 4 launch exclusive, right? And they've had multiple of those. But they partner with PlayStation, put out Returnal. It's a hit and it makes sense. Cool. Now let's buy Housemarque, right? You look at Bungie, and it is everything we're talking about in terms of the way that PlayStation wants to grow, the way that PlayStation sees value in Bungie, even beyond the IP. They see value in Bungie in terms of helping PlayStation get multiplayer and live service off the ground and be able to collaborate with other studios to make sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of how to make this happen and how to make this happen successfully. And I think when you look at Haven Studio, right, it's that perfect storm of, yeah, they've not put out a game yet. Yeah, they've not. It's not the Insomniac thing of, man, finally, like you're putting a ring on it. It is more so the thing of, hey, this kind of just all makes sense. It's a AAA. It's a AAA studio. It is them located in Canada. It's the deals that we can get there. It's the fact that when you have a studio there, I think you then have talent, or you then have access to a pool of talent there that maybe you didn't want to relocate to the US or other countries, right? And you're able to access top tier talent there, right? I think that's a big deal. And then also the thing of Haven working on a game that aligns with PlayStation's values, right? I think it's like a perfect storm in that case.
Let me read a little bit more, because again, I talked very top level about the Quebec stuff in Montreal. I'd like to give you a little bit more hard evidence. I'm going to go to npr.org, where Planet Money's Corey Bridges had this newsletter file that says how subsidies help Montreal become the Hollywood of video games. Sorry, Ryan, not the Silicon Valley, the Hollywood of video games. We'll start with, obviously, his writing, but one of Blessing's favorite games of all time. Genshin Impact is an award-winning role-playing game created by Chinese video game developer miHoYo. A year after its September 2020 release, the game managed to amass a total revenue of more than $2 billion. That kind of revenue makes Genshin Impact one of the most profitable video game releases ever, and easily the developer's most successful project in the company's 9-year history. After seeing such success, it was only natural for the company to expand. The question for miHoYo was where to go. The question was answered in November when the Chinese developer announced that they were setting their sights on the West and establishing an office in Montreal, Canada. At first glance, this may seem a little odd. Montreal, why not Tokyo or San Francisco or other cities that have traditionally dominated the tech industry? However, over the past few decades, Montreal has arisen as one of the most attractive cities for video game developers. So attractive that Montreal's Economic Development Agency, Montreal International, estimates that as of 2021, more than 200 studios have set up shop there. Of course, this goes on. The secret to Montreal's success? Tax credits. The province of Quebec, which Montreal's largest city, attracts multimedia companies by offering them subsidies for employing people in the province. Quebec taxpayers pay a large percent of the salaries for local multimedia workers. These subsidies have undoubtedly helped Montreal become a leading hub for video game development. Then it gets into more like what could happen, blah, blah, blah. But as I'm going to jump to give you a little bit more of the information, all right? Stick with me. They've been talking obviously about how we got there, and they've been talking about Ubisoft, right? But this generous deal only applied to Ubisoft, and other companies protested the favoritism shown to one company. So in 1996, Quebec officially established a new tax credit called Crédit d'impôt or the refundable tax credit for the production of multimedia titles. The credit covers a maximum of 37.5% of eligible labor expenditures if a multimedia title is available in French, and up to 30% if the title is not. In 2021, the multimedia tax credit cost Quebec an estimated 253 million Canadian dollars. And it goes on, is this sustainable and yada, yada, yada. But again, just to throw out there, 200 people, all this stuff going on. They're arguing about like maybe they're going to cut it down or whatever, but you can see why it makes sense to go up there, dollars and cents to go up there and have your game be that. And that does, I'm sure, apply to PlayStation.
Yeah, 1000%. And as you were reading that, right, like when you mentioned the amount of studios that are up there, I had to go look up a list because I was like, damn, that's a lot of studios. And sure enough, like as I look through the list, I'm like, no, yeah, like I never put it together that all of these studios are located in Montreal, right? Like it is Bethesda Games Montreal, right? It is Cyber Connect, it is Deck 13, EA Motives, Eidos Montreal, Illogica, like the list goes on. And like people can fly, like
bring in like again like what I was talking about earlier. You're talking about really big studios. Of course, there's so many of them. There's so many indies up there that I'm talking about again, right? Because hey, 30% or 35 or whatever it is to do this and have your labor covered and free healthcare and yada yada yada. There's a reason that if you're paying attention, so many games get talked about on this show. And full disclosure, my wife's company Pop Agenda is doing marketing or PR, helping them get their game published or whatever, because my wife's company is a Montreal-based video game agency, or Montreal-based video game agency, right? Helping a whole bunch of Canadian, Quebec in particular, developers get their games out to people. And so that's the thing of why it seems like, I'm sure at times, if you're a casual listener, which I doubt we even have, but if you're a casual, man, Greg talks about his wife's games a lot, or his wife's games come up a lot. That's favoritism. It's not. It's just the fact there's so many goddamn Canadian developers out there that there are so many of them work with my wife's company and do this thing that like it naturally comes up there.
And like if you're PlayStation, right, like you're a very big major games company, right? You're a platform holder and you have a studio in Montreal and you establish what could be like hey, we are trying to make this the premier Montreal game studio. Think about how much talent you're then getting. Like think about the level of talent you're then getting when you're amongst all these other game developers and all these other studios that are there also. Like that is a big move, and that could, and like, you know, Haven, I would say, is probably one to look out for. Again, like it's a mysterious studio because they've not released anything, and so like I'm not trying to put my chips down in terms of they're gonna make a hit, they're gonna be a big success, but like they're set up for success, right? Like they're bought from PlayStation, they're AAA, like they're in a good location, and they're working on something that is gonna be different from PlayStation, which like who knows what it is. You know, if I had a guess, my current guess is they're probably working on some sort of MMO, maybe MMO light game, right? Like what is an MMO light game that would work on PlayStation, just given the pedigree of, you know, I don't think it's going to be a Destiny per se, just from the pedigree of like the people working there. I don't see Jade Raymond as like somebody who wants to develop a Destiny. You know, maybe she hires on the right people, maybe they have the right vision for it, but I could easily see it be a thing of, hey, we've seen the success that games like Final Fantasy 14 have had. How do we emulate that for PlayStation and make it a thing that makes sense on a console? You know, I could easily see it being that.
And remember, I have the blog pulled up from when they did announce the partnership, right? Introducing the Montreal, blah, blah, March 16th, 2021. Remember, one of the paragraphs Jade wrote that I remember reading on Games Daily was, and so today I'm announcing Haven, an independent studio where many of the talented game developers I have worked with for years, parentheses, and love dearly, are coming together to do what we are most passionate about. It's time for us to refocus on games, all in one word, in a place where we can practice our crafts without any barriers or impediments. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. Sounds a lot like MMO or MMO Light, Blessing. Mm-hmm. We want to pour our passion into a project. We want to make something wondrous for people to experience because we believe in the power of games to bring joy to people's lives. And Sony does too. Their commitment to excellence is unmatched. It's why we couldn't be happier for their backing and support. So yeah, that definitely sounds like a live service experience as we're now hearing about today in all these reports. And it'll be fascinating, to see what that is.
Hell yeah. The other big news story I have for PlayStation updates is about the Quarry. Greg, I'm very fucking excited about the Quarry. I assume that you're excited about.
Excited about the Quarry. Are you kidding me right now? Come on, explain to people why we're excited.
Hell yeah. So if you somehow missed it last week, The Quarry was announced. It is a teen horror game from the creators of Until Dawn that is super massive. I'm pulling from John Fingus at Engadget, who writes this. The producers of Until Dawn are returning to their roots after years of dark picture anthology games. Supermassive Games and 2K have unveiled The Quarry, a teen horror title that has you once again deciding the fates of frightened youth. You control 9 camp counselors as a night of celebrating the end of summer camp quickly goes sideways. The trailer hints at a most dangerous game tale where someone appears to be hunting the counselors for sport. It stars David Arquette, appropriately from Scream, Ariel Winter from Modern Family, Lance Henriksen from Aliens, Brenda Song from Sweet Life and Dollface, and more. I believe, is it Ted Raimi? Sam Raimi's brother?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Ted Raimi's in there as well. Multiplayer, or go for it.
No, you're right. Yeah, Ted Raimi.
Multiplayer is important as well. You can have couch co-op where people control individual counselors, but you can also have as many as 7 people voting on your decisions. The Quarry arrives June 10th for PS5, PS4, and other platforms. It went on to list Xbox and all that stuff. I just cut it out because PS5,
this is the PlayStation Show. XCast, suck it.
Yeah. This looks dope as hell.
Well, you and me are Supermassive fans, period.
Yeah.
End of statement here. In the same way we're talking about it. I think also in the same way I talked earlier about Ilphonic, where I'm like, yeah, we love their games despite their flaws. Same thing with Supermassive, right? Where I think multiple times in the show, this is the one where I apologize, right? Where Man of Medan was such a put off to me as an Until Dawn fan that when I was like, all right, cool, I finally went around and played Little Hope. I was like, you know what? That was better than Man of Medan. I shouldn't have been so put off. And then I fucking adored House of Ashes. That dropped at a weird time where I think I was just going on paternity leave, or I was about to, or maybe I already had, and we had joked around about doing a spoiler cast because Janet was into it too. So like, I'm excited just to have I'm excited for how the Dark Pictures anthology has aged up, right? Where it's going, how it's evolved, and now that we have The Devil in Me, right? That's the next one.
Yep.
The Devil in Me dropping this year, and then you're telling me on top of that we're getting another one, The Quarry from 2K. That, with all due respect to Dark Pictures Anthology and Bandai Namco, I'm assuming 2K put a lot of money behind this one and is trying to, hey, we've seen what you're doing with Dark Pictures Anthology. Here's a bunch of money to make a true successor to Until Dawn. Here's a great cast. Here's, spend a lot of time with them, do all these different things. I'm excited.
Yeah, like it's the thing that everybody wants, right? Which, like, it's funny because Dark Pictures in a way is also the thing that everybody wants. It's just that Dark Pictures isn't living up to what Until Dawn set up. And
Dark Pictures, if I may, Dark Pictures, which I enjoy and I'm glad exists, and I love the curator and I love how kooky the whole thing is. Dark Pictures feels like a budget version of Until Dawn.
Yeah,
it feels like, hey, we're gonna give you these things at a quick clip. They're gonna be hit or miss. They're Tales from the Crypt. Are they good? Are they bad? You figure it out and have some fun, and they, blah blah blah. And again, I think House of Ashes was head and shoulders above in terms of technical quality, story, acting, yada yada yada, everything else. But even that, it's like that wasn't Until Dawn. Yeah. Until Dawn was such a polished PlayStation exclusive. It felt good. It was good. It was long, and like that's good or bad depending on who you are. I imagine the Quarry is going to be more like that.
And I mean, from the premise, the Quarry sounds a lot like that, right? Because they're talking about controlling 9 camp counselors, and like you assume that any of them can probably die, right? Like they got a great cast. I fucking love Brenda Song, right? Because I loved Sweet Life growing up, and then also Dollface, and like they've been killing it with their casting. Because they also had Ashley Tisdale.
David Arquette
is great. Yeah, and Ashley Tisdale was in the previous game. And so like they're getting all the Disney Channel stars in there. But yeah, like this one I think is hitting it on that level. And then also I just like, I'm a sucker for most dangerous game tales, right? Like in horror stuff. For me, that's always a fun one, right? And like for the next couple of Supermassive games, I think they have their head in the right place in terms of like, about being about to unearth some gold in terms of content. Because like most dangerous game, always fun, but then also The Devil in Me, I believe, is like a Saw type story, and like those are two tropes that I'm all the way in for. Like that sound, both of these sound like a very fun time. But yeah, like you imagine that the Quarry is what you're talking about, right? Like there's a bit more to it than the Dark Pictures anthology. You imagine that maybe it's a little bit longer, and
I'm reading off of their Wikipedia page. Their Wikipedia page has the rundown. The Quarry is a survival horror interactive drama played third person. In the game, players assume the control of 9 different teenagers who must survive the night at Hackett Quarry. The players must make different decisions, which would change the character development, the plot, as well as the relationship between the different characters. All 9 playable characters may die by the end of the game, and each character potentially has 10 to 12 different ways to die. Supermassive expected expected the game to last for 10 hours, though early deaths of certain characters may cause the game to end earlier, around 7 hours. Due to the game's branching storyline, it has many endings, and at the end of a playthrough, players will be given different collectible cards that depict the fate of each of their character. Once the player completes their first playthrough of the game, they will unlock Death Rewind, which allows them to undo 3 character deaths in subsequent playthroughs, which is a great idea. A great idea at iterating all what you've already done and how you go through it. But yeah, 10 hours is longer than what we saw with House of Ashes.
Oh, for sure. And I really actually like the fact that they're doing it in different ways, like having these different ways to make 2 different types of games where the Dark Pictures anthology, I don't want to go away necessarily. Like, it's funny because Main of Dawn, when I was playing that and I like started Little Hope, I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is the one. Like, I don't know if I need these games. Like, I would just go back and make Until Dawn 2. Now that we're past where we finished the 3rd one, we're going into the 4th one. I'm all in for it. I am looking forward to October for the next Supermassive game. And I like them being in short bursts. I like them being co-ops focused. I like them being that type of game. I hope the Quarry has more of a focus on not single player necessarily, even though, like, you know, they mentioned couch co-op. I don't know if they've said anything about online co-op, but I want it to be a thing where I am seeing all the scenes, because that's one of my issues that I have with Dark Pictures is if you're playing co-op with a friend online, they're seeing different shit than you are seeing, and you are basically explaining things back and forth of like, all right, yeah, right now I'm playing as this character and I am walking in this area and like, oh, this thing just happened, and you're communicating back and forth with your teammate, or your co-op partner, which is a fun way to do it. I think that is a novel experience. But I also do miss the Until Dawn style. No, you're seeing every single scene and like you're invested in the story, and it feels like more of a drawn out kind of thing. I think both of those can exist in some form, and the fact that they're getting to do it by having a game published by 2K while the other thing is published by Bandai, I think is really dope.
Get that bread. Continuing here to answer some of your questions, I think, on the Wikipedia page. The game also features a movie mode, which disables certain gameplay elements, such as button mashing, quick time events, and aiming and shooting, allowing players to progress the game with minimum input. The game also features local and online multiplayer. In local multiplayer, players take turns to control different characters, while in the online mode, 7 other participant players can vote in key decisions. Players can participate in voting by only downloading the demo version of the Quarry. The game also features a movie-only mode in which the player can set the personality traits of different characters and then let the story play out, which is another. They don't do that before. That's never happened before.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love all these ideas, honestly. Like that, it does sound like it's missing the co-op that Dark Pictures has, but I am fine with it being a vote system, because like
movie mode is gonna be fascinating. That'd be really interesting. Movie only mode. So I guess it's just the cutscenes.
It's just the cutscenes, right? Like you're probably not walking around the rooms and
dude, I'll fucking do that for sure.
Important decisions and stuff.
Yeah, usually you figure I finish it and I'm like, and I talk to somebody about it, but I'm like, I don't want to replay the whole thing. I would definitely be at the end and be like, all right, what if I was a total asshole? What if I was a total good guy? What if this happened and that happened? Then just let it go. I like that.
I'm all in for it. Yeah, this sounds like a fantastic time.
And I'm with you. Again, my comparison right here is that I feel like Until Dawn, and you hope what the Quarry would be, but for right now, let's say Until Dawn. Until Dawn felt like a movie. I would go to the movie theater and watch in terms of like caliber, and then Dark Pictures Anthology feels like Tales from the Crypt. And I can enjoy both those horror experiences. I loved going to watch horror movies. I still love going to the theater to watch horror movies. But as a kid, I also loved, staying up late on Friday or Saturday night to watch Tales from the Crypt on Fox. And so like I feel like that's the caliber of experience I'm expecting from an Until Dawn and versus a Dark Pictures anthology. And I hope the Quarry is an Until Dawn major motion picture kind of feel.
1000%. Did you ever play Hidden Agenda when that came out?
I did. I didn't finish Hidden Agenda because again, it was before they really sunk in what they were doing. I feel like that for any of
that
the
weird
stuff,
era, like with
all the stuff of like, hey, share decisions and do the thing with your friends, yada yada. That shit's got to be 2 hours long. That's what it's just got to be that way. Because like how many times, like think of like you're having a party and you have these people over, unless we're having a Dark Pictures anthology weekend and you're coming over and we're doing 2 nights of it and blah, blah, blah. Like when it really drags on and gets too long, people lose interest. They want to do something else. Somebody goes home and ruins the whole thing. You do the whole, like, it's got to be short.
Yeah. I mean, Hidden Agenda, I don't think it was that long. I think that might've been under 3 hours. Because I do remember having like it was a game night with my friends, and we were like, yo, we're all gonna just do Hidden Agenda, because like I brought it up because I thought it was gonna be the shit, and like it was fine, it wasn't bad or anything, but it didn't hit as much as like Until Dawn did. But like we did it,
right? It was
Playlink, and so like the way you do it is we were all sitting from the couch and we had our phones out and we're voting on choices, and so you can be that dick friend, which like that's me, where I am like everybody's like, oh yeah, let's do this, and then there's like a button that you can use to override everybody else's decision and then pick the other decision decision. So I'll be, and you can only use that like I think once or twice. And so I would be that dude where like we're toward the ending of the game and like there's a big choice to be made and everybody's like do the thing, and I override it and I'm like, nah man, we're doing the other thing, right? And like I fucking love that shit. Like I think, and I don't know who it would be, like, because I mean that situation was PlayStation that was like, hey, come make this game for PlayLink. I want to see them do more of that type of shit because I think they are a few steps away from having, I think, like the next Jackbox where it is everybody's like, yo, we gotta play this together. Like, come over, let's play play this thing. Like, I think they have that kind of potential, and not necessarily that they want to chase that, but playing Hidden Agenda and now seeing where they've come since then, I'm like, dude. They could revisit that idea and I think have a banger that might go viral, might be a hit for people.
Supermassive is an incredibly talented studio. And I think again, like,
oh yeah,
I think Dark Pictures Anthology and the clip that they wanted to put those games out might have again skewed perspective on them. And I think you play something like House of Ashes, you see that, and you look back at the fact that they've been down to clown, and I don't mean be clowns. I mean the fact that like, hey, do a Hidden Agenda or a PlayLink game. Awesome. Here's Hidden Agenda. Hey, can you do a VR game for this thing? Here's here's Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. And it was like, shit, this is a really fun VR run, like haunted house shooting game. You know what I mean? Like they do a lot of awesome shit down there. So I'm super excited to see what 2K and some money behind them and hopefully some focus actually comes through for the game.
Yeah, 1000%. Greg, now it's time for PlayStation picks. This is where we highlight a few of the cool looking games coming to PSN this week. Starting with the big hitters, of course, you're getting Ghostwire Tokyo for PS5. That is coming on Friday, March 25th. Our Games Cast is up right now where you can listen to our review. Both Greg and Snowbicycle Michael gave it an okay rating. That is a 3 out of 5, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But then you're also getting this Friday, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's coming to PS5 and PS4 Friday, March 25th. As far as the picks themselves,
wait. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Where are you at? Excitement, hype level? Are you playing it? What are we doing with that?
I think I'm gonna play it as long as other people in my friend group are playing it. So like if we're playing it on stream, or like if you guys just want to play it in general, or
plus,
if,
we can do what we did with Borderlands 3.
And just fall asleep.
It's like started like 9 times.
Yeah. Link up at 8 p.m. and then play together like half a mission, and then both fall asleep in the middle of a play session at like 8:30.
I'm down for it, man. I don't know where my excitement lies for it, because we did the I guess it wasn't a preview. It was like the let's play over at Gearbox, and it was cool. Like I think it was a fun time. But also like I don't know, Borderlands for me is one that I come to like fuck around and like shoot shit, and it's that laid back kind of game that I kind of turn my brain off for. And I feel like I've had a lot of that lately. And so like I don't have the hunger necessarily for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And I also know that it's like different from Borderlands just in terms of tone and what the story is. And like I don't have the expectation that it's gonna have as many systems going on as a Borderlands game. But I don't know, who knows? Like if I have friends that are playing it, I think that's gonna be the main driver for me to want to jump into it. Like for you, are you excited for it?
Yes, but I'm not. Like Borderlands 3 I was so excited for, and I enjoyed Borderlands 3. I love Borderlands 3. But Borderlands 3 was, I feel, more of a known quantity for me of like, oh, I love Borderlands. I know I'm gonna love this. For me, what's interesting about this could also be the turnoff to it of like, I love this idea that the game is happening inside Bunkers and Badasses, which is D&D in the universe, right? So it is Tiny Tina DMing this thing that we're playing through. And like I was on the Wondercast for it with Mitsu and Tess, right? And they had some of the developers on from Gearbox talking about it. And like, they mentioned, of course, like when Tiny Tina's doing this and talking through what's going on and you're playing it, like, at one point there's this like river of lava or whatever, but it's that on the map she had knocked over a bottle of ketchup. And like, that sounds goofy. And I don't know, maybe negative to people or whatever. I like the idea that I'm playing this game that Ashley Birch, Tiny Tina, is narrating, and that's like changing. And then we get pulled out and like, this is what happened in the real world, in quotes, is affecting what's happening in the game world. Like that sounds interesting. However, of course, I'm not the fantasy guy usually. So like, I have no interest to really play D&D, but if it's I like Borderlands. I love the idea of playing through this and leveling up and making my own character. And like, it's like a full customization deal, right? And you're mixing up classes and doing those things. Like, I think I'm going to find fun here. I'm interested to see if I'm the same way of you, where I play it and I enjoy it, but I'm not compelled to actually see it all the way through. Or if I'm the guy who's playing it and then you pop on and you see me playing it, you join my game or I join yours and we screw around for a little bit and then you bounce and I keep playing through the story. Because it seems like I love the character of Tiny Tina, and I do think it'll be an interesting way to engage with it. I'll have to wait and see how it goes through. But real quick before we get out of here, out of Tiny Tina, I know we still have more show to do. You're talking about you and Barrett falling asleep playing this or whatever. Yesterday Fortnite update went live. No more building. I said on Slack, I'm in. I'm back in. I want to do this. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin was. We were texting about something else last night, but then Kevin texted me at 7:32. So what's up? You down to play Fortnite? And I said at 7:49 later tonight, sure. And then he texted me at 9:38. Wake up and play Fortnite. And ladies and gentlemen, I was dead asleep.
No way.
I was long gone at that point.
God damn. Are you gonna hop in? Because I definitely want to hop back in Fortnite.
I totally want to play Fortnite. Yeah, it's been a stressful time in the Miller household as of late with a number of different things happening. Nothing horrible or whatever. But it was like there's mental and emotional exhaustion happening around here. So I was like, I definitely want to. What is the body willing to do? And last night was, we went to bed super early because we had to get up early for GDC today to get downtown and Jen to set stuff up and yada, yada, yada. And of course, that was the night where Benjamin was like, you know what? I'm going to fuck around tonight. And so it was like, went to bed at 9:15, and then Porty got me up at 10:15, and then Ben got me up at 11:15, and then I got back down, and then I think it was 4:50. Benjamin was like, you know what? It's time to be awake. And so I was with him till 7, and I slept for 10 minutes, and then whatever. It's like, that's what's happening over here. There's a lot of moving parts.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, I feel that. I'm at the place right now with video games where I've had the floodgates kind of fall a bit in terms of in February and in January, honestly, I was so focused. I had it down in terms of the games that I was playing and sticking with those games and not getting overwhelmed by the releases. I had the perfect transition from, the jump from Dying Light 2 into Sifu, into Horizon, into Sidetrack. Now that we're in March, I am everything is coming out and I do not have the bandwidth to play all the things that I want, right? Where I look at my dashboard on PlayStation and it's WWE 2K. It is a musical story, which I know is 2 hours long and I can just get it out. But that's right there. I got Tunic, I got Final Fantasy Origin, and it's just the list goes on in terms of games that I want to hop into, and more games are coming out, which is making it difficult. So I'm cool. I'm not gonna play Ghostwire Tokyo now because I know I have all these other games, but then I do know I do.
Bear, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's glitching out now.
Yeah, he's totally frozen for me now.
It's that thing where I'm always I slacked you. I'm like, is it me or him? I don't know who's having a problem.
Both of you were kind of looking a little.
It's one of those. It's probably Discord. Discord's
weird. Or it could just be his internet. That's ruining everything.
That's possible, but if we're gonna blame him for that, we really have to blame Kevin for not having the studio up and running.
Yeah, that's true. That's
whenever something goes wrong.
We would have to play. Do we have to blame Kevin?
No, we don't. That was a joke. Don't do it. Kevin and Nick are working very, very hard on the studio.
But we just blame Blessing and call it a day, right?
Oh, I'm down to blame Blessing.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, honestly, it's one of those things. It happened on Slack. We talked about it, right? But maybe without Janet, we just can't do the show anymore.
That's true.
Maybe she was the linchpin. Maybe she held the whole thing together,
Yeah, I heard it was
because when Janet was on the show, I never had to lean all weird to talk in the microphone.
Yeah, and I heard before she joined the show, it was a dying show,
I heard that too. Yeah. We just hemorrhaging people. People were unsubscribing from youtube.com/KindaFunny just in protest of youtube.com/KindaFunny Games, PlayStation Podcast, PS. I love you, XOXO.
Yeah, hold on, I'll crop you for now. And
so I don't have to do this weird lean. Yeah. Because let me tell you, I can take a few Z's right now if you want. I can definitely knock it out right here.
Let me tell you though, I definitely feel definitely not on your level, but of the all right, I'm gonna go to sleep, and of every night fucking clockwork, an hour later, Lulu's all right, what are we doing? Let's hang out. And it's dude, you're 2 years old now. You should know what the fuck is up here. So, well. There we go.
Blessing has slacked. It looks like his internet is out. I'm saying word. Keep me posted. There you go. We'll figure it out as we
give me a second. I can bump my camera on. I just need a second.
Hell yeah! We'll talk about the rest of these games. Paris Lily pops up in Slack to say you got to stop using AOL. Got him. I'll say that.
AOL.
And that's what I love about Paris Lily. People think he would only light up Khalif Adams, but he will light up anybody. You give him a little bit of weakness, and Paris will get you.
Exactly.
One day he'll get Gary Whitta. That's the thing. Somebody's got to put Gary Whitta in his place.
Always give Gary Whitta his due diligence,
that's the problem with Gary Whitta.
Yep.
Somebody's got to get him. Oh, man. Oh, you had a little video effect that went when you
it always does that whenever I start my camera up on Discord. I don't know why, but...
As if that wasn't enough for you to flick on your camera and be ready to go. Forbes 30 under 30, aka the second best baby blues, aka the engaged one. Tim Geddes has wandered into the room. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hey, I just popped in because I saw Blessing's internet died, and I wondered if you needed a co-host. If not, I could leave. But if so, I could
You
stay.
can hang out. I mean, you know, the CEO Junior, Barrett Courtney, was ready to go wearing his PS I Love You sweatshirt. Like, he didn't, you know, he doesn't worry about anything. He pops right
I
in.
love that.
And here's the
Also
thing,
sees-
Greg, 10 seconds ago, completely naked, just through the sun.
I'm sure. I appreciate that. Yeah. Still from the waist down. You know, it's still a party in Barrett's room. He was playing that Mario Kart DLC there, just chilling, having a good time.
Oh,
he
that's
turned his
Mario
lights
Kart
on and everything.
64, not even the Mario Kart DLC. Because I'm
Oh,
a
really?
broken person.
What I will do then is, stick with me here, Tim, because I think you might have something to say about the next game here on PlayStation Picks. All right. Of course, this is what we've already gone through the big hitters. We've talked about Ghostwire. Well, we haven't. I'm going to talk about Ghostwire in a second. We talked about Tiny Tina coming out this week. But, Tim, let's get to some of the lesser known gems here. Are you bringing Tim online? Is that what you're doing?
Huh?
Barrett?
Does
Okay,
Tim
well,
does Tim have the camera on?
Yeah, flick your camera on, Tim.
Boom.
He's a professional. He
It's
knows to
on.
wait until it's all set. Bam, there it is.
All right, hold on. Give me a
I
second.
got the Hulkamania colors back there. I appreciate that.
I got the PS I Love You colors. Breaking this out. Is this why I'm excited to pop on? Yeah, kinda. I made a preset and I got to hit the button on my stream deck. So
I appreciate
here we go,
that.
guys.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Are the PS I Love You colors red and yellow there?
Yeah, it's
Well,
red.
once we pop it up, I think it'll make more sense. Once we get me in there and people can actually look at it, like look at the logo and then look at this.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see the little the bluish or whatever you call it, aqua spotlights there. Is that what we got going on there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I see it a little bit. Yeah, totally. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Fuck you, Greg. Tim nailed it.
No, there's no fuck me. I'm just saying it stood out to me. The McDonald's colors, you know, and then I was like, okay, then I see your work.
The McDonald's colors, classic.
I got the green for slime for Ghostbusters. You know, that's how I did
that
it.
makes
No,
sense. That
of
makes
course.
sense.
Yeah. Barrett's editing himself in there. If you're an audio listener, we do not care about you, and so we have to wait the show for the video to work.
No. Yeah, keep going with the show.
Well, I want to talk about Memoir Blue. Tim's here, Blue, Memoir Blue, but that means we got to watch the trailer. So I don't want to.
Okay.
You're doing your thing over there. I don't want to stop you. Also, you know, by the time you get this done, Blessing's gonna rejoin. and I know, you know, Tim. I have the world's greatest post show coming up. It's America's favorite quiz show. I haven't revealed the title of it yet, but Blessing's scared of it, and so that's why he's run away.
Yeah.
And I won't tell you
And
now.
it was a game show only for Blessing, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's for anybody. He's not watching, right? He can't see. I'm looking over here on concurrence on the private YouTube. He's not here.
No.
He's not here. He doesn't know.
No, he doesn't.
You know what America's favorite quiz show is, Tim? You don't know Janet. America's favorite quiz show where I see how much Blessing Adeoye Jr. knows about his PS I Love You co-host, Janet Garcia.
I love that.
I'm very, very excited for it. And he might think he weaseled his way out of this. I will just call this motherfucker. And
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what's going on with it.
Greg, I'm ready for Memoir Blue.
We're going to talk about PlayStation picks, highlighting a few cool-looking games coming to PSN this week. We already did the big hitters. Now we're going to talk about Memoir Blue coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 Thursday, March 24th. The description reads like this. A song from years ago triggers a flood of memories for champion swimmer Miriam. Embark on an evocative journey through her turbulent childhood and the complicated relationship she shared with her devoted mother. Tim, have you ever heard a more Greg Miller fucking description of a game?
No. And even just seeing it now, like everything about this screams Greg Miller. I'm excited for you. Look at this art style. We're getting some 3D animation, 2D animation all in one. It's like Mitchell's versus the Machines all over again.
Yeah, of course. We saw this one a long time ago. I forget at which showcase. God, there's so many these days. But we did, and it's the one that, goes between like the, cartoon version of it, a cartoon version of her and her mom, and then jumps back to obviously her as a more 3D modeled character. I'm incredibly excited for this one. I did not realize it was out this week. Thank you, Blessing. You made that happen. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And so, I'm excited to see what that's all about Thursday. I mean, as soon as I get the chance, I'm going to hit Annapurna there, try to get a code or whatever. Does that move the needle for either of you or any of you? Tim, Barrett, Blessing. Tim, I'll start with you.
I mean, that looks really cool. Just popping in and seeing it for the first time. I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, really?
Showcase before. It seems really cool. The type of game though that I would want to hear some critical acclaim before I pop into. If it starts getting the Greg Miller being like, "Yo, this is it." Yeah. Well, no, that's not enough. I would need like the I cried and
all right.
Yeah, it's like
all right.
Yeah. But I would want some more coming in there. But if people are like, "Yo, this is something special," then yes, that does seem like a Tim game for sure.
Yes, I was on the same page. Like I remember you guys talking about this for the draft, but I hadn't had any idea what the game was. So that being the first time I had ever seen it, that does seem like something that if I've got a free night, I imagine it's not like super long. That kind of story that you're telling in a kind of 3D plus 2D walk-in simulator going on there, telling a very emotional story. Like, yeah, I might pop in there for a night and check it out. Especially with just like similar experience with Blessing brought it up, a musical story, right? Where that was just like a good chill night where I got myself away from Elden Ring and was able to just get into a good emotional story. So, yeah.
Blessing, what about you? Where are you at with Memoir Blue?
I'm in a wait and see kind of place with it. I've started to realize that for me in Annapurna, it's kind of hit and miss. Not in the way that I don't think they're putting out bad games by any means, but like they'll put out games that are for me, and then a game that's like completely not for me, but it's for somebody else. And so like, you know, I've come to realize that not every single Annapurna game for me is gonna be a banger. And so Memoir Blue looks like it could be a me type of game. Like I do like a good narrative game. I do like a game with like a nice art style and something that is, you know, kind of like sappy and like about a relationship, right? Like that type of thing I can be down for, but I think I'm gonna wait to see like what critics have to say about it and what other people are saying about it before I jump into it.
Well, I'm a critic and I've requested a code, so we'll see what's up. We'll see what's
Hell
up.
yeah.
I'm all about that. That'll go to the top of the must playlist right now, I'll tell you that. But not to be outdone, also on Thursday, March 24th, The Ascent comes to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. The Ascent is a solo and co-op action shooter RPG set in a cyberpunk world. The mega corporation that owns you and everyone, the Ascent Group, has just collapsed. Can you survive without it? Of course, if you're like, this sounds familiar, it's because it already came to Xbox. This was an Xbox Game Pass game. Barrett, June of last year, I want to say. It was something like that.
It's like July.
It was
Late
definitely
July.
It was definitely in the summer.
I'm sorry, look, every stop. Did I say June Barrett? Or did I say June Blessing? Blessing, you sit there with your jacket on and you just fucking think about your internet.
It came out last week of July.
Who here directs both PS I Love You and XCast?
Who here has a calendar where he tracks everything? Blessing super fun game.
We have a calendar. Do you have like
even fucking exist at that point? Blessing. I don't think it did.
I think it did. I think it might have. And because I remember typing in The Ascent onto it, and then I didn't play it. But yeah, no, like it. I'm like curious to see like if this game hits more people this time around, because I feel like it came out and then I remember hearing Paris talk about it, but I didn't hear that many other people talk about it.
I talked about it. I was on the review of it or whatever, and the reason we didn't talk about it is it wasn't that great of a game. It was fun enough, but it was very much like the mindless. All right, cool. We're all running around shooting things and doing. It's one of those games, honestly, and I'm not even talking shit because I had some fun with it. I just didn't love it or whatever. It was before we had a score, so I don't remember what the score thing I would have given it was. But like, it's one of those games I struggle to remember, which is never a good sign when you're like, it's a forgettable game that I remember being excited for. I was stoked about it, and then I played it, and it was just like, oh, okay. And you're right. There was no real fanfare for it. It was that thing we were all very excited for it. Not we all, but like me, Mike, and Paris were all very excited for it. And like, then I remember it being buggy too. I remember it having bugs or something.
But like, I know for a fact that like there was a handful of people that like really dug it and really stood by it. like Paris Lily, exactly. And I'm sure we'll have some of those on PlayStation as well. And so like, if you're looking forward to The Ascent, it's one to check out. I guess
like super high on it. Like he thought it was interesting, but it's not something that he's stuck with. Just to give him his fair.
Well, I'm saying I remember Paris being stoked for it though.
Yeah,
like really high on it.
I was stoked for it too. Like I was excited for it.
I don't remember you ever talking about this game, Greg.
Okay, fair enough. I was on the XCast about it.
I don't know if Greg has ever mentioned The Ascent.
You guys are rude to me. I don't know why. I did everything for you. And this is
where do you guys stand with Weird West? Because like this is another one. It's like a Paris joint.
It's not just a Paris joint. There are so many people who are like so stoked for a Weird West of like being this kind of like interesting immersive sim, and I just every time I see it, I'm like, I don't get it. I get it.
That's where I'm at.
Some of the
minds, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Weird West combines combines. Hold on. Sorry, I thought I was jumping into a press release. This is more like, hey, this is a bunch of other stuff, and then it's like explaining it. Sorry. I don't have a press release ready to go for Weird West. It's a deep action RPG element set in an isometric world full of possibilities on the Wild West frontier. Journey through the story of a group of atypical heroes written into legend by decisions you make in an unforgiving land. Each journey is unique and tailored to this. It's like I got a trailer for you, Barrett.
There's a good.
There's also I don't think there's a PlayStation game, by the way.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. You know what? I have this downloaded. Well, actually, do I? I haven't pre-ordered.
I tossed it in if you want to throw it up there, Barrett. It's just in general. Sorry, I'm kind of
no, you're good. You're good. It's just one of those things. Every time I see it, or when people talk about this, and it's not just Paris. Like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, and there are a good amount of people excited about this, and it's just like I feel like it's gonna come and go, and there are people that are convinced that this is gonna be like the big new like kind of like almost indie hit that everybody's gonna play, and I don't see it.
Discover a dark fantasy reimagining of the Wild West, where lawmen and gunslingers share the frontier with fantastical creatures in Weird West, coming to PlayStation 4 fall 2021. Obviously, an old description here. For me, it's like I look at it and I can easily see where this game will connect with an audience. I do not think it's going to be a mainstream audience in that. And I'm just going off of a trailer. I haven't played it. I don't know anything about it. I hope people are into it. Enjoy yourself, but
it's such a particular world. It's such a particular presentation with the isometric stuff, and it's moment to moment gameplay. And
it's like it's from. I believe the studio is like former Arcane folks, right? Who like did Dishonored. Right. And I think there's probably some comparisons there in terms of like some of the art style stuff I could see being comparable to Dishonored, and a lot of people are using the word like immersive sim for it, which like. For me, I like immersive sims, but I like the first-person, like action RPG style immersive sim. Like this perspective doesn't really excite me.
Tim, what's the game I'm thinking of that we did party modes of that was like another gunslinger Wild West kind of thing? You remember what we're talking about?
Yeah, I do, but I don't remember the name.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the KindaFunny XCast, please welcome Paris Lily to PS I Love You XOXO. Hello, Paris.
Hey, how you doing?
We're great. We have 2 questions for you, all right? Number 1, set the record straight for everybody in the PlayStation Nation. Did you like The Ascent, or were you just hyped up for The Ascent?
I liked it, but I wish it was, at the time when it came out, it wasn't as stable as I wanted to. It was a little buggy.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you ever come back to it?
No.
You ready to come back to it on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 Thursday, March 24th? Because it's happening.
Yeah, I could definitely see.
You're not coming back to it. It's fine. You got to think
it's not happening.
Wow, I love how you asked me and then you tell me I'm not.
Because I know you like the back of my hand, Lily. The next question for you: Weird West. Is that just going to be for you, or is that going to be a huge hit? You think?
I think it's going to be a huge hit, personally.
Why? We were looking at it, and like again, this isn't us saying it's impossible, and we're not talking shit. But us watching the trailer, like, all right, isometric sim. Like, you think it's going to like break through those barriers to a new audience?
I think it has the potential to. It really caught my eye when we saw it. I guess it was probably 2 years ago at this point. But I love that type of RPG. Not that it's Disco Elysium in that way, but I think it has that type of potential. I do.
Gotcha.
Okay, so there's like a lot of narrative and a lot of like talking and dialogue options.
Yes.
Stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, that brings me back around because I thought it was going to be more action, and action from this perspective doesn't excite me as much. But if you're like making the Disco Elysium comparison in terms of like a living, breathing world, that combined with action could do it for me.
Yeah, I do believe the great Lucy James has been doing a lot of work with that studio as far as doing streams and talking about the game over the last couple of months. So you might want to check that out.
You sold me.
I don't really want to talk to Lucy. You know,
Greg.
What? We're an hour 39 into this show. She'll never hear.
I'm just saying, Greg, this isn't a great follow-up from the other week where you're talking about Janet and you said this woman. You know, it's just like
what is with Greg attacking women on this podcast?
Hold up! No! Because that's exactly what we talked about at the time. Is that my brain didn't click into gear, and then somebody's gonna take that quote out of context. You people that were on the show who are supposed to defend
you people.
Whoa, Greg! What the fuck, dude?
What do you mean, you people?
Hey, to be fair to Greg, on the last XCast, I was talking about something with xCloud, and her name is Catherine, but I couldn't remember her name, and I said, that woman on Twitter or something I said, and I got a few nasty DMs about that. So
you gotta stop putting the word "that" before "woman." You know,
oh, God.
It doesn't have to be that way.
I love it. I love who's here.
What's happening here?
Nothing, Lucy. Nobody's talking shit. Don't worry.
This is Paris. I was praising the work that you've been doing with Wolf Eye Studios, talking about Weird West. That's what's happening.
Hi, Paris. Thank you.
I said that I miss you, and I haven't talked to you in a long time.
I don't know if that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I didn't hear it that way.
She's gonna leave eventually. You are still stuck on the show with me.
Last thing I remember is all you saying was "this woman," and that's
you said that. You said that.
How about this? How about this, Greg? Ask her the question you asked me.
Lucy, should we be excited for Weird West? Is that a game that's going to? We look at it and we think, all right, cool. It's immersive sim and it's isometric, and it feels like that would be like a very specific group of people. But Paris thinks it has the chance to go big. Do you think it could go big?
I really hope it goes big. I think it definitely has the chance to. Like, if you enjoyed stuff like, obviously, Dishonored and Prey, the first ones that come to mind, but like through everything that I've been playing, and yes, I know, take my opinion with a grain of salt because I did streams with the devs, but like, I was genuinely amazed with how much I could interact with, and you know, it was kind of one of those games where it was like, if I thought I could do it, I could, and also I could just, you know, like kick people off ledges, and I did a lot of kicking, and that was really fun. But no, it's great, and it's like a fun little story, loads of different characters coming together. I hope it does really well. It's a lot of fun.
Paris used the words Disco Elysium when describing this game a little bit. Do you think there's like any analogs there in terms of like that, like in the way that, because I fucking loved Disco Elysium when I played it, right? And like the thing that stood out to me was how well developed the world was and how dope the writing was. Do you think like if I'm looking for something with those trappings, does Weird West have any of that? Like, am I gonna get a cool story out of Weird West? Do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, like Disco Elysium, in my opinion, is in a class all of its own.
Yeah.
However, if you're talking about Disco Elysium comparisons in the fact that like, does this world have a lot of hidden lore? Is it worth your time to like? I enjoy rifling through people. Don't take this out of context. I enjoy rifling through people's post boxes and reading.
I fucking knew it. We live together, and I knew I was missing mail.
Well, you've been pre-approved for a bunch of credit cards, apparently, or whatever. Anyway, so you know, it's like in terms of world building, I find the world exceptionally interesting. Like the story-wise, you do have like immediately you're kind of thrown in with this inciting incident that your partner has been taken away and your kid's been killed, and I find and it just like the way that it just kind of starts off with a kind of regular run-of-the-mill story, and then just like the weird shit happens and just keeps on happening.
Okay.
And then the procedurally generated stuff like go on bounty hunts and things to try and get more money. I think it's really interesting. I would say Disco Elysium, for me, is always going to be this is the game that makes me question whether I'm alive or not. So I wouldn't compare it in that way. But if you're talking about a really interesting, well-crafted world with a lot of stuff to explore, a lot of things to interact with, a lot of different ways to approach encounters, then I think Weird West is going to be it. It's also way bigger than I thought it was.
You brought me back with the fact that you can kick people off of things.
Oh yeah, you can like cool. Power up. Like one of your powers is like a kick, and you could just really go to town on
That's
that
fucking
thing.
Sweet.
Hell yeah, Lucy, did you like The Ascent?
I didn't play The Ascent.
Okay.
Well, you have the chance Thursday, March 24th on your PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Lucy, Paris, thank you so much for your time. I know you have jobs to do.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
I now that Paris or Blessing's back, I am going to bounce out as well. Greg, were you talking about Blood Roots?
No, when?
When we were talking about the Western Party Mode game we did.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
We talking about at sundown.
Yes, at sundown. That's the one I was talking about, Timmy.
There you go. I love you all. Have a good show. Bye.
We love you. Bye.
Love you, Tim.
What a bunch of shenanigans. I just tweeted it, but I really was excited for this one-on-one with Blessing PS I Love You with Janet on hiatus, and then it was bam. Here's everybody. We brought everybody in. I love it. Barrett, you've been great keeping up with the cameras. I appreciate that quite a bit.
Thank you.
Blessing, what you been playing?
I've been playing quite a few things. I was kind of talking about this until my internet cut out of nowhere. But I've been hopping around between WWE 2K, a little bit of GTA Online, mainly on stream with you and Mike, and then also some Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. But like WWE 2K22 continues to be fun. It continues to like be such a fun like almost like a nostalgic game for me because it takes me back to playing my favorite wrestling games back in the day. And like I keep returning to it, like looking forward to go through matches and like create the most hype match of all time, making sure that I'm hitting my taunts, making sure that I'm like jumping from the turnbuckle.
So here's I want to jump in. I want to jump in because WWE 2K22 is at the top of my what you've been playing. Obviously Ghostwire, which we'll talk. I'll give you an elevator pitch on here in a second, but that's what I've been playing the most. And so I want to know what are you doing when you turn it on? Because that has been for me, I think, we put up, I did the review and we all talked about it on the Gamescast. But a week later, maybe more. I'm very loose on time at the moment. I'm shocked truly by the fact that I turn it on. I'm drawn. I feel to something different every time. Where you're watching right now, I did what I wanted to do and did a sim match with no commentary, no cams, just all the kind of funny characters in a ladder match I did on Friday afternoon. I just put up and let it play. But like, I turned it on, and in the beginning, I was, going into creation. I was doing all the creating stuff, making some of the kind of funny people before Olive Party showed up and outclassed me in every way and made amazing people. Then it was like, all right, cool, I'm doing my career thing. And then it was like, well, now I want to actually play as my character that I've made here that you see in the game. So I'll roll one in universe. And then I was like, well, I just downloaded this really awesome Taz from ECW. I want to put that in the universe. Well, now I actually want to put the ECW belt on him. So I want to take him and Sabu into a match. Well, now I'm doing Ray's thing, the showcase. Now I'm really like, all of a sudden I'm obsessed with my faction. Like, what are you playing inside WWE?
I'm mainly just doing my faction. Like, I think the thing for me is I really like the creation stuff in the game, but I still think that the creation tool runs a little bit too slow for me, where you switch back and forth between different options for like hair, for clothes or whatever. And there's enough of like a stutter where like you switch it and then like 2 seconds and then boom, it pops in, and I just can't. I can't get past it where I feel like I'm in the flow of creating stuff. And so I'm hoping that like either through an update or just through development, that stuff gets quicker and faster, because then I'll spend way more time with it.
No idea if that's what it'll be. I do find this endearing, again, for I think the fact that WWE 2K22 is a return to form, if you want. I don't know what they're returning to. The one of, if not the best game 2K's put out in the series, but they put up this tweet while we've been live. Wow, what a week. Thank you everyone for your feedback. We're monitoring telemetry, forums, and Twitter to improve WWE 2K22. Tomorrow, we'll release an update that improves logo use, create, ladder bridges, and general gameplay. Full patch notes should be up soon. I think it's awesome they're communicating that much and that they're doing that thing. And I don't know what they say they're improving create, what that actually means. Who knows? But nice to see touching that.
And I really hope that is speed, like that. Because I think that is my one issue with create, is the speed, is like how slow it is. Like if they fix that, then I think I'm gonna go all in on it. But even then, right? Like I could see myself with how it is now, still even going back once or twice, maybe a month, to like make a wrestler or fuck around with making a ring and like having fun there. But yeah, factions is the thing that keeps calling me, just because it has a consistent kind of gameplay loop to it where you are unlocking cards. And I actually have had more fun with the tag matches than I thought I would, because tag is like inherently broken, and I feel like it's always been broken in the WWE games, even the ones that I forget what year it was. I think it might have been 2000, maybe like a SmackDown vs. Raw 2008,
where they added in like the hot tag, and they were like, we're really making tag be fun. You're like, no, you did not do that.
The whole gimmick of the game was supposed to be tag teams, and tag teams still just didn't function in a fun way. And so like for those who don't play WWE, right, like the thing with tags is that when you are pinning somebody, the AI will always bring in the teammate to like break up the tag. And the way you kind of get around it is like either your AI teammate will defend you, right, while you're pinned, while you're pinning, which never happens, or you knock them off the ring before you get the pin. The problem is, specifically for factions, is that there's 4-player factions that you're rocking with, and oftentimes you'll do 4v4 tag matches, which means that when you go for a pin, it's pandemonium of everybody jumping in the ring, and always somebody's going to break up the tag. And it's so difficult to take out 3 people. Like, it's so difficult to execute your finisher and then try and take 3 other wrestlers off of the ropes so that you can then get the pin. By that point, the other person's already stood back up. And so the tag matches are so fucking long. But also, like, when I do them, I do like the fact that it's this like 30-minute at least investment into this match. And then also like there's this heavy like tension of me being like, dude, am I even gonna take this one away? Because like everybody is red, right? Everybody has red health, and like it can go either way. And so like I do like the tension that's there, and I have fun with it for that. But the thing that I like the most about factions is just that like each match is kind of different in terms of progression. Whether you're doing they have like multiple different ladders you can go up or go through, right? So they have the weekly ladders, which are just like, here's a bunch of NXT matches, here are a bunch of Raw matches, here's a bunch of women's wrestling matches. Like they kind of categorize it that way. You can just go through them. But then they have I think it's called the Proving Grounds, which is like a full list of different matches you can do. Like I've gone through the first one, and like you're basically doing different like you're like doing different objectives to get points so that you can then finish the match and move on. And so it is like hey, taunt to the crowd, taunt to the opponent, like, get this specific type of hit like 5 times. And I just find enjoyment in that because I feel like I'm like building a match. I feel like I'm like performing almost.
I think
yeah.
Showcase for me, which I love for what it is for sure. Like hey, here's a classic Rey Mysterio versus Shawn Michaels match, and like the way it goes between you playing and then into the footage, it requires you to do incredibly specific stuff, right? And some of it is kind of like, oh man, fuck, all right, get him outside and jump and do this. And that's okay. It'll take me a few tries and maybe I'll fuck up and maybe I'll end up losing the match because of it. Blah blah blah. What I like about my faction so much is that number one, you have the deck of cards that is like your FIFA Ultimate Team, right? So you can sub in the cards whenever you want. So I'm playing more wrestlers than ever before, where I think in previous games I would have been my main creative character and then a few different ones. Whereas this one, I'm like, man, I've been using Undertaker, but I want to sub in Scott Hall. So I go and grab his card and toss it down kind of thing. And then it is the idea that the match varieties change as you go to. So it is like, regular old match, and then it was an Iron Man match, and then it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome because you're challenging me to do that. And then that's also dictating who I want to bring in from my cards, right? I want to have more of a hardcore guy if I'm going to do Falls Count Anywhere.
Like, because my team right now is Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Undertaker, like from '95, and then Rey Mysterio Jr. And so if there's ever like a tag team, I'm going Kofi and Xavier Woods, right? And then like depending on what the match is, right, I might choose any sort of mixture of them. And I love it because usually I would pick a main in any other fighting game or even in WWE where it's like, cool, I'm John Cena and that's it, or I'm Randy Orton and I'm not flowing between them. But like this game I think gives a good incentive, or this mode gives a good incentive to go, all right, no, actually no, I'm gonna do Undertaker this round, or I'm gonna do Rey Mysterio, because like these are all wrestlers that I love, and so like being able to bounce between them is really fun.
Yeah, 100%. I like that. And then like you're saying, like the points in there, like, yeah, there's the ones that actually have to do everything, but then you can pick and choose what you actually want to do. And they're usually super simple, right? Of like, hit your special, hit your signature, taunt this way, taunt that way. But then like on top of that, just the overall like lifetime objectives. So like, oh man, I should do more kick damage. I'm working on people's head. And like, you don't have to seek the stuff out. It just pops on its own to give you the points to earn the more cards and shit. Like, I'm surprised by how much I enjoy that and how much, that is drawing me back. And there's daily login bonuses. And of course, there's the scummy side of all that kind of shit too. You can buy virtual currency and you can, blah, blah. But like, I have not felt the need to. And I think today my next match will earn me enough to buy a new pack of cards. And I'm about to, when I finish the current Proving Grounds ladder I'm on, I'll unlock a new pack of cards too. Like, there's a bunch of different ways that obviously they could go for it.
There's in-game ways to do it other than just.
But I'm enjoying it without spending a dime on it so far.
And funny enough, it's almost like, because I think the game is good. I think the game could use so much improvement in many places. But like that mode specifically, even though it's supposed to emulate an Ultimate Team style, you're earning cards that are the wrestlers kind of thing.
Yeah.
It feels like it wants to be Ultimate Team and it wants to be scummy, but I don't feel like it's developed enough to be scummy. Like at no point am I like gonna spend money to buy cards. Like I don't have that level of like addiction and investment into it.
Have you had to re-up contracts at all yet?
No.
So that's it is a thing. So every time we burn a card, well, I mean, you can do it with in-game currency. It's not like it's outrageous, but every time you're like, I've been using Undertaker and I forget how many, I think you may come with like 12 contracts. And so every time you complete a match with him, one of those contracts goes away. And so there is a thing of, you can buy contracts, but I think, and I haven't done it yet because I haven't gotten there. I believe it said when you buy contracts, it buys for your entire, like your 4 people. So you buy like, I'll say 6, and I think 6 get applied to it. I could be wrong on that because I haven't done it. It, on the one hand, seems like, oh, that sucks. But on the other hand, I don't think you lose the card. And I do think it encourages you to shift your deck around and try new characters. Or if you want to spend the currency on that, and if you were doing that, would it matter because you weren't spending the currency on new cards? I'm fuzzy on it. Hopefully next week I'll have gotten deep enough into it. But this is very much like I was talking about how crazy life's been around here lately. Of like last night I start like my Iron Man match in the Mae Young Classic with Becky Lynch or whatever. And like Jen's like, I'm going to bed. You should come too. And I'm like, all right, but can you give me 15 minutes? She's like, I will be sleeping 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, honey, system off. Let's go. Like, I will not disrupt you. We are all struggling here. Let's get in there.
Yeah, and it's good enough too where like I just hop in for a match a day basically. And like it's that fun because you mentioned the daily logins. Like I go in because I know I get the daily login, even though I don't care that much about the things. But
totally, yeah.
I do it anyway. And it is like just a reason to go in, do a match, and then bounce out. And I'm just slowly making my way through it, and it's a good time. But speaking of a good time, I'm also playing Final Fantasy Origins Stranger of Paradise, and I'm having such a good time with it. It is exactly like what you see is what you get, just in terms of the writing seems so simple and seems so like kind of cheesy in the way that all these guys want to do, all your main character and the buds that you make along the way, all they want to do is kill chaos. That's all they say every single cutscene is like, "Are you chaos?" And the boss is always like, "No," and he's like, "We're gonna kill you anyway." Right?
Die
Like
all the same.
yeah, you all die all the same. Like all these guys are obsessed with is killing chaos, and like any semblance of a deeper story is just not there. And the more I play it, the more I'm fine with it. I'm just like, you know what? I don't really care about the story. I'm just here to go through the levels, and it is such a PS3 style. Like I'm coming into this world. I am playing through these very linear levels with fidelity that is not great, right? Like for PS5, I feel like if I was playing like a PS4 game, I'd be like, all right, this looks fine.
People were even comparing it to 7 Remake and even comparing it to that, which came out before next gen. We're not saying it looked great compared to that.
Oh yeah, no, dude, this is nowhere on the level of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, like on any level. This game does not look great. I think the art design for like some of the enemies and monsters is like fine to good. But just in terms of fidelity and in terms of like, especially if you're coming off of Elden Ring, this game looks like booty in a lot of places. But I do think coming off of Elden Ring, the thing that I like about this game is that it's kind of the anti-Elden Ring, where it is the same in so many instances, just in the fact that it is a fantasy action RPG where you're fighting dragons and you have builds, and your builds can be samurai or magic or like, swordsman. Like it has like a lot of those same kind of parallels to actually Elden Ring specifically. But it then in execution veers the exact opposite way any moment it can. And so like it is one linear, right? But then also there's so much ease of use and so much just like auto optimization in if you hold the touchpad button when you're in the menus to equip your gear, it'll just auto equip whatever is the highest. And you can also have two builds that you switch back and forth with, like you're switching a gun in a shooting game where you can have your swordsman build, and then in combat if you press triangle you can switch to your magic build with like different gear, different weapon, all that stuff. And it's super easy and it's super quick. It is fast, way faster than I was expecting for the game to be. Like it's not Devil May Cry by any means, but it's definitely not like Soulsy in its combat. It hits like a good medium of, you're going quick, you're doing those like time dodges in the way that you would do in a Souls game, but it doesn't have that level of methodical, like you really got to think real hard about this kind of combat. What it does have is really satisfying combos and a dope ass combo system when it is like a R1 is regular attack, R2 is your special, and if you go in the menus, you can actually get pretty deep in terms of equipping certain combos in certain ways. Like you can customize your combos in this game, which is something that's kind of novel to it and something that I really like and have a lot of fun with as somebody who I fucking love combat systems. I fucking love getting in there and having a specific unique, like this is what my R1 R2 move is.
Sure.
You can do that in this game, and I think it's actually pretty awesome. And as you go, you like unlock your skill trees, and skill trees will give you new moves to put into your combos. Really cool, really fun. The skill trees also are interesting because like there's a different skill tree for every single class in the game, and as you go, you continually unlock classes at a very rapid pace. Right now, if I go over to my skill tree, I have probably like 10 to 15 different classes that I have available to me, all with different skill trees. And so it is the monk, it is the pugilist, it is like swordsman, swords fighter, which is different from swordsman. You can have like the mage, red mage, black mage, white mage. Like
Nice.
they have a bunch of different classes, and all of them function fairly differently and have their own gimmick to them. And the satisfying thing for me with the gameplay loop is that they really encourage you to want to go through each class and make it to the end of the skill tree, because once you make
I heard some people call him a jack of all trades. Is that true in the game?
that is amazing, and I'm mad I didn't think about it myself. He is a jack of all trades. Because he does, like, once you get to the end of a skill tree, usually at the end of any given skill tree is unlocking a new skill tree. And so when you get to the end of
my
mage,
reward for finishing this skill tree,
Another
skill tree to go down.
What's the game that came out earlier this year? That all of us didn't like, but Janet really liked.
Nobody saves the world.
Nobody saves the world. A little bit
Honestly,
in that sense.
yes.
Wow.
It actually is, but in a way, because like my problem with Nobody Saves the World was that like it was too achievement-y in the way that they wanted you to play in a weird way. Final Fantasy doesn't want you to play in a weird way. They just want you to play. They just want you to play the different classes, right? And so like you are earning skill or experience to upgrade your classes to then get skill points to put in your skill trees, and it happens very fast. But it is a thing of, I'll be playing as a mage. At the end of my mage skill tree is black mage, red mage, white mage, which are different classes of mage. And to like unlock red mage, I have to have my mage skill tree all the way upgraded, and then like one other class skill tree all the way upgraded. And it is just like this feast of upgrade trees and like trying to figure out like, okay, what's the next thing I want to unlock, because this is going to make me slightly more powerful. I think it's like a really great system that I hope they use in future games, because like I think they really have combat figured out in this one, and it's been the thing that has blown me away the most, is how well developed it is and how fun it is in execution. And I think it's the shining star in this game. It's like honestly one of the only things in this game that I can be like, no, this is good. Like this is very solid.
So do you recommend this game to just everybody, or just people with a very specific expectation?
I recommend it to people who are into Final Fantasy and people who, like, if you watch the trailer and you're like, this looks like my shit, then 1000% I'd recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. I don't know if Greg Miller's gonna like this game. I don't know if like.
I don't think I would. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Tim Geddes might like this game. Honestly, like I think there are certain classes of people that
chat be cool.
Chat be
Chat be cool. Don't tell him to play.
Don't
remember this, everybody. Don't ruin this for me. Chat be cool. That's from Gamescast, right? Yeah, Gamescast.
Yeah, that was Gamescast. But also blessing it with like, I'm kind of into Final Fantasy. Like I like Final Fantasy 7, the original one. I like a little bit of 15 and stuff like that. I like the dumbness that I've seen from this game story-wise. So if I find that funny, and then with the combat being a little more from the developers of like Neo and stuff, should I play this game?
Oh. Honestly, I'd say yeah. Like I'd say give it a shot. I don't think it's a surefire that you're gonna fall in love with it, but I do think there's a very good shot that you play it. And the dumbness of the story maintains throughout. You are not gonna get invested like in like a deep way to the story. You will be like, you will have many cutscenes where you're like, what the fuck, man? Like why is this riding this way?
I heard like very early on they play My Way.
From Limp Bizkit?
No, yeah. the classic one.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, the Frank Sinatra. And right when he gets to the chorus of like, or he's about to sing like, did it my way, it cuts and it just goes to a different scene, and it like cuts in the middle of that song at like the most iconic moment.
You're selling me on the game now.
I know, and it's that
so
level
ridiculous.
Of absurdity that they're like, I feel like they leaned into not on purpose. That I just like, I want to experience it, Whereas,
yeah, it's funny because like I can't tell. I honestly can't tell if it's on purpose or not anymore. Like I'm just in it for the ride.
There was a lot of like unintentional leaning into the dumbness with Final Fantasy 7 Remake that I didn't love, because it felt like a weird in between. The fact that this feels like it leans in so much more of just like, yeah, we're just a bunch of himbos and we got our orbs and we're gonna ponder over them and we're gonna go kill chaos. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like, to that point, right? There's a point early on in the game where you finish the first level, you meet a new character, and the character's talking to you about chaos. Because your Jack is like, yo, like I'm trying to kill chaos, bro. And like Neon is like, chaos, I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, chaos is a myth or whatever, like chaos doesn't exist. And then chaos like Jack looks at her and is like, bullshit, and then like plays an iPod, and then Limp Bizkit starts playing, and then he walks out, and then 2 seconds later it's him walking out, and then the Limp Bizkit fades out. They only got 3 seconds of Limp Bizkit in this fucking game. It is ridiculous.
I gotta just go search cutscenes out in this game. That's what I gotta do.
Honestly, yeah, just watch the cutscenes, because it's really it's wild that like this was the direction they went with the story. And like maybe it is a thing of, hey, we just want a fun game to play. We just need a game that like has fun combat and fun levels, because they achieved that. And like maybe story was very secondary. But yeah, like I can stand by the combat in this game, really fun, and I think it's a good time. I'm pretty impressed by it. And also like the one more thing I'll say about it is that like talking to my roommate Michael Haim about this game, which he says it's his game of the year.
Oh my god.
Of course.
Michael Haim is also like, he's a man of unique tastes, and like he's also has amazing taste. But like, he said that, and I was like, all right, I guess like I'll jump into it. And the more I play it, the more I'm like, all right, I kind of see what Michael sees, because Michael's a huge Final Fantasy fan.
Yeah.
And the thing about this game that I think is cool is that it seems like each level is a reference to a different Final Fantasy game. So I think there's probably like 15 levels, and I think each of them are like, a unique thing, or a unique reference. And I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool. Like if you're a Final Fantasy fan, I think there's a lot to enjoy here.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to enjoy on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, just like this show, but also the Kinda Funny Games cast. Remember, the Ghostwire Tokyo review is up right now, where I talk for a long time about what I thought about it and why I think it's just an okay game. It's just an okay game. You can go check it out over there. That's what I've been playing. However, I want Blessing to play a little game with me. Remember, this has been PS I Love You XOXO. You can write in on patreon.com/kindafunnygames to be part of the show, to get the show ad-free and get the post-show, where Blessing is about to play You Don't Know Janet, America's favorite quiz show, where I see how much Blessing Adeoye Jr. knows about his PS I Love You co-host, Janet Garcia. That's up on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Of course, if you have no bucks tossed our way, it's no big deal. You can support us by going to youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Like, subscribe, share all the videos. You could, of course, go to the Epic Game Store, use the creator code KindaFunny on your PlayStation. You can use it in all the Epic games that are using the game store as well. If you got no bucks tossed our way, podcast services, twitch.tv, you know all the jazz. But for now, Blessing, before we get there, how confident are you? You have 5 questions, a few are multiple choice. How many are you going to get out of 5?
I'm getting 5. I think I know Janet.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.